settle down. Colleagues, can we reserve the greetings for our tea time, please? Please, colleagues, there's a white colleagues. I know there's so much to talk about after that walkabout, but you'll tell me all about it during lunch. And we have received a request. We are trying to locate our OHS officer with regards to the aircon. You know, when you've got a beautiful hall like this, obviously you use the best of aircons. And at times some people find it intimidating. But we will assist you, colleagues. They are freezing there. We are attending to it with the agency that it deserves. Please do bear with us. I think Mr. Lewilwane is here. He will assist us with the aircon. If at least the flip can be flipped up so that my colleagues can be comfortable. With that said, colleagues, I'm not going to waste much time. I am concerned that we are still not settled. I think I forgot to indicate that I'm actually a teacher by profession. I wouldn't want to manifest my classroom skills. Thank you so much, colleagues. Colleagues, we are really running behind time, and you gave yourself an additional 10 minutes. I know our campus is beautiful, colleagues, but you were expected to adhere to the times. But nevertheless, I forgive you. I would like to call on stage our principal. But before I can just give you a brief introduction about our principal, because of time, can I also ask that as the principal is coming, our VIPs for today, of course, I don't want them to think next year we'll give them the same seats. So for today, I'm going to ask that as the principal is coming, they will so long accompany him to come and sit here in front. So principal, when you come, you will come obviously ushering them as well this side. And I will also be calling 2 additional speakers. I know we are running out of time, so we'll have 3 people. So let's look at the profile of Mr. Mnyamani. Mr. Mnyamani has got 25 years of experience in the TVET sector. He holds a B.Ed degree, BCom honors, an LLB degree, and he is currently enrolled for his LLM. So Mr. Mnyamani is the CEO of Southwest Gauteng TVET College. So we'll call him on stage, and immediately after Mr. Mnyamani, you won't be seeing my beautiful face just as yet. You will need to wait as I give room to a message of support that will be coming from our regional manager, Mr. Patrick Pule Mashele, and immediately after him, we will have another message of support by Mr. Jimmy Masodza, that is the representative of CFERIS Center Managers. So the 3 will come in that order. I will ask you, DJ, to be vigilant. When the principal is finished, you give us a nice song worthy of what you can see here, and obviously the next speaker will ascend the stage. Don't miss me too much. I will be back. Thank you so much. Mr. Mnyamani, can you please come forth?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much, Ms. Mabunda, for the introductions. Let me, because you said to us that we giving ourselves 10 minutes extra, I'm not going to waste much of the time. I will just go straight to the message that I have for the guests that are here today and wanting to welcome them to this college. Some of them, they were there yesterday. They are also here today. And we really appreciate the kind of the support that we do. But I think the support that we saw here is because we also give support to our colleagues when they've got occasion like this. Agribara house at Amaili Mafuabatu. Yeah, they will just go there and wash their hands and leave. So we don't want that. It's not Africanism. Let me acknowledge my colleagues who are here, the senior directors from the department. Let me start with Ms. Aruna Singh, the acting director, general, the deputy director general TVET. Also, my line manager sitting next to me here, Mr. Patrick Mashele, is regional manager Gauteng in Free State. Mr. Richard Mediroe, the student development support. Fanesile Bongembata, deputy director, National Skills Fund. Principals and a deputy principal from the sister colleges who are present here today, thank you so much for your continuous support for this college. Senior managers who are here in the form of Mr. Shlema, the DPC, Mr. Johannes Makula, the DPR, the acting DPA, Ms. Mashale. Campus managers who are here, starting with the present campus manager of this campus, Tisecho Skobani, Mr. Musiano from Josh Table, Mama Konyani from Molapo, Ms. Mazuma from Rodiport West, Ms. Ngwenya from Technisa campus. Did I leave another campus? You know, when you grow old, things just erase from your mind. Or Rodiport campus, yeah, man, I know, you see. Sometimes you ask them, what you went over because you forget the names. Mr. Navonde, yes, Mr. Navonde, our acting campus manager, Rodiport campus. Dr. Richard Maponya from Institute for Skills Entrepreneurship. Mr. Roy Maponya, Jimmy Masweta, representative of SCFRI Center of Managers, Mr. Sandy Lelongwe, Incubation Manager for Small Enterprise Business Agency, the CETA, or the CETA if you may call it that way. Mr. Chepiso Sebanda, Project Specialist, National Youth Development Agency, NYDA. Mr. Voyo Tenjana, Head of Knowledge and Evaluation for Jobs and Fund, National Treasury. Mr. Linda Dlada, Makers of Academic Managers, Allan Gray, Philanthropy and of South Africa. Mr. Steve Reid, Technical Advisor, Entrepreneurship, Incubation, National Business Initiative, NBI. Mr. Given Matlope, Program Manager, Grassroots Innovation Programs, Post-Investment Technology Innovation Agency, TIA. Sector and Education and Training representative who are here from yesterday, thank you so much for your continual support. Our colleagues from organized labor, thank you comrades for supporting this kind of occasions. Esteemed guests and in our midst, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Kunje in the campus. Over the Dobsonville campus. It gives me a pleasure to welcome you here today at Southwest Gauteng College, Dobsonville campus, for this August occasion that seeks to share a very important aspect of the establishment of the Entrepreneurship Hub in our technical and vocational training education. Honorable members, South Africa is faced with the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and employment. I don't want to sound like a politician, but it's reality. The youth unemployment continued to rise in South Africa due to unfavorable economic climate. According to the statistics, youth unemployment remains as high, and it fell by 1% points in quarter 3 of 2023 to 43.4%, with the number of unemployment youths decreasing by 174,000 to 4.6 million. and that is a ticking bomb for us as an adult. The number of unemployed youth increased by 237 to 6 million as for the November 2023. The unemployment rate in Soweto as a township where we are situated is at 42%. That is high. Almost 0.5% of our young people are not employed. This is higher than the unemployment rate in the rest of the South Africa, which is 65%. The unemployment rate in Soweto has increased due to the informal sector's inability to provide employment for unskilled workers, especially the youth in our country. The resolution of the Summit of Curriculum Transformation, Innovation and Technology of Education Training held on the 28th to the 30th of August 2023 in the Dome at Midrand understand the following. 1. Understanding the TVET College system has a pivotal role to play for the provision for mid-level skills in the country. Number 2, to recognize that there is a need to build a highly responsive, robust college system to respond to the challenges of youth unemployment collectively, though for those who are not in education, not employed, not in training, the NEET populations. Emphasizing that the technical vocational education and training must embrace innovation, digital green economy, sustainable development, and a global just transition as its guiding principle in skills development. The summit resolution number 3, every college will be entrepreneurial environment, providing the support networks that enable us for the student to establish enterprises for the self-employment and employment of other youth in this our country. Program Director, I'm quoting all the above in order to demonstrate that establishment of entrepreneurship hubs in TVET colleges is key in the development of our own country. This college in 2018 took an unfavorable decision to appoint 6 entrepreneurship lecturers for the sole purpose of teaching entrepreneurship for all the students who are in the existing programs, those who are doing N3 level 4 and N6. We have done this purposely to provide the following: providing entrepreneurship and new venture creation lessons to NCV level 3s and N4 and NATED, N5 and N6 and N3. Student, in addition, is non-examinable subject. To work with the Sector Education and Training Authority for establishment of the Student Center of Own Businesses, mobilize all the resources to ensure that all the students entering the gate of Southwest Gauteng College are business registered free of charge. Facilitate and incubate the student and the community for free of charge in all the entrepreneurship facilities in small, medium, and micro businesses, SMMEs, ensuring that the guest lecturing is implemented in all programs offered at the college for the benefits of our students. Furthermore, my office, along with the new business development unit in 2021, agreed to revamp all the centers which cost the college almost 6 million rand from the college reserves to supplement infrastructure supplied by the sitters. We have also purchased them vehicles to ensure that their task is effectively executed. Mr. Linda Dladla, one of our students that competed from the Allan Gray, where our students were participating in the competition, you will realize that in all the competition that took place, Southwest Gauteng College participated in all those competitions and always scoops award. In 2023 finalists, we have received the 2 prestigious awards. We have been applying like any other colleges for the SETA for the funding, but as usual, we are either not responded for the proposal or supported. It's not a complaint, it's just to raise a concern. Let us seize this moment, colleagues, to challenge ourselves, to push boundaries, and to dream big. Together we can create a thriving ecosystem that fosters innovation, empowers entrepreneurship, and propel us towards a future of endless possibilities. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to all of you, and thanks for you for being part of this incredible event, and I wish the fruitful and aspiring experience throughout of the day of today. God bless Southwest Gauteng College, and God bless you, and God bless South Africa. Thank you.
Our program director, the lady in red. Yeah, I like your shoes. Thank you very much. When a lady expresses herself, you must add more flavor. You see the walks from the chair to the floor, it will be different. Our beloved acting DDG, Mayor Haruna Singh, the college principal, Ntate Mnyamani, the senior management of the Department of Higher Education and Training, the college executives, Ntate Skobani, the champions of business and the industry as a whole, our sector education and training. Due to time constraint, let me say all protocols observed. You are all recognized. Let me take this opportunity to thank you, the lady in red, for giving me this, to speak on this auspicious occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, you would remember that in 2020, if I'm not lying, the president of the country, Ntate Cyril Ramaphosa, made a pronouncement. In his pronouncement, he said that he's closing down the country because there is a new kid on the block. That was COVID-19. We never thought that when COVID-19 arrives in our country, few months or few years down the line, it will have a terrible negative impact. As we're sitting down today, we're reflecting. Companies have closed down, which is a crisis. People have lost jobs. While we were looking at COVID-19, we had climate change. We had global warming. And also, we had flooding. If you remember at KZN, we experienced flooding. Also, that had a very serious negative impact in our country because the economic participation of our young people, our youth, and adults had to go down the drain. It also had a negative impact in as far as employment, resulting in increasing the number of the triple challenges. We're looking at the youth unemployment and also the adult ones, but also the inequality in our country deepened. Also, poverty deepened. Now, this calls for innovation in our sector. This calls for rethinking on how we do business and how do we become responsive to those particular challenges that I've outlined as a Department of Higher Education and Training. Now, in terms of the departmental strategic plan, the department it's required to support 9 technical and vocational education and training colleges to establish entrepreneurship hubs by 31 March 2024. It's for the above reason that we are gathering here today at Southwest Gauteng TVET College, Dobsonville campus, for the purpose of information sharing workshop on establishment of entrepreneurship hub in technical and vocational education and training colleges. Let me pause a little bit and narrate my conversation with the campus manager. He was saying early in the morning to say, you know, people think that what happens in a township is bad and evil. But we want to showcase ourselves as township, that whatever we do, it's good and godly. So that is the new thinking of the township mentality, not the old thinking. I close the quote. By exposing the college students to entrepreneurship, training will assist the student to start their own businesses. This is another way of making living by being self-employed and also creating jobs for other unemployed youth in our country. We will know the ability of SMMEs to create jobs for better than big companies. As we know, ladies and gentlemen, that our role is not only to develop or build people who look for employment or job seekers, but we want to make sure that at the end of the day, we have employers from our colleges, we have entrepreneurs, we have great thinkers. That is our role as a department. The proposed workshop is intended to achieve the following. 1, outline processes and procedure which must be followed towards establishing of the Entrepreneurship Hub or incubators. Share information on various funding opportunities or options for establishing an Entrepreneurship Hub. Provide a platform to share information and best practice on various programs and initiatives aimed at promoting entrepreneurs among TVET College students. And showcase the services rendered in Entrepreneurship Hub incubators. Ladies and gentlemen, with these few little words, I just want to say thank you and enjoy this blessed day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Acting DDG, the Chief Directors present, Regional Manager, College Principals present, my colleagues, Safari managers from different colleges in the country, stakeholders, possible funders, protocol observed. I'm nothing else but Murumua from the Safari managers. Dr. Mashele, we have been the stepchildren in this department for a very long time. So now when you see the establishment of entrepreneurship hubs, that's where now we realize that when we reach, at least we have home now. there's a possibility on the other side of the tunnel. Like I've said, I'm just representing Safari managers. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Department of Higher Education and Training for organizing this crucial workshop on the establishment of Entrepreneurship Hub. It is a great initiative that highlights the department's commitment to fostering entrepreneurial development within our education system. Entrepreneurship has emerged as a vital component of our economy, driving innovation, job creation, and economic growth. It is essential to equip our students with the skills, knowledge, and resources that needed to navigate the dynamic business landscape. Therefore, the establishment of entrepreneurship hubs in our public colleges is a step in the right direction. However, it is important to address the question of whether the Department of Education has a mandate to establish hubs in all 50 public colleges. The answer is yes. The department's mandate is to ensure that all forms of education and training are provided to South African citizens, and this includes the promotion of entrepreneurship. By establishing entrepreneurship hubs in all 50 public TVET colleges, we will be providing opportunities for aspiring studentpreneurs across the country. These hubs will serve as a growth. They will provide students with access to mentoring, coaching, funding, and networking opportunities, creating an enabling environment for their entrepreneurial aspirations. In this regard, I would like to take a moment to appeal to all our esteemed funders. We can't survive without you. I'm talking from example. Practically speaking, we can't survive without you funders. Your support is crucial in realizing the vision of entrepreneurship hubs in all public TVET colleges. By investing in these hubs, funders will be investing in the future of our nation. These hubs will not only benefit individual entrepreneurs, but will also contribute to the overall development and prosperity expanding such success model across the TVET sectors. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate my support for the establishment of entrepreneurship hubs in Temashele. As a Safari, we are blessing the entrepreneurship hubs. I would also like to close with a quote from a very first Black South African president. I quote, "Sometimes we endure the darkness for a while, patiently waiting for the light to guide us. But when that light finally appears, the brilliance is undeniable, and the progress we make in its glow is immeasurable."
code closed by Nelson Mandela. You know, this is a right opportunity for us that we have waited for a very long time. Memdona and your directorate wanted to thank you.
I repeat, we have been stepchildren in this institution, in this department for a very, very long time. At least now we have a place and home where we can be proud and say we belong. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to our speakers. Principal, thank you for making it clear that God must first bless SWGC and then others. And I looked at, you know, I had set a time, I spoke about time, and there the regional manager goes and he recognizes my shoes. You could speak the whole day. Thank you so much. And really to Sifira, you know, Siferi, yeah, Siferi. I read all of it because, you know, these terms, DDG, DG, CM, all these words. But now, for the first time, I had someone quoting something that Mandela said. You would swear that Mandela only said that quote about education because wherever you go, I would like to quote the former president. And they give us that very old quote. So thank you so much. At least we've got a new quote for today. Thank you very much. Colleagues, let us proceed. I'm now going to call our acting Deputy Director General for the TVET sector. And also because of time again, I would like to call Mr. Sandile Longwe, that is support programs for youth-owned enterprises and establishment of the centers for entrepreneurship rapid incubators. Hey, the terms, the English that is here today, I think you can see them. Yeah, sorry, you'll have to forgive me. The regional manager wants to speak to me. I think you understand by now. DJ, just play something. I'm speaking to the regional manager. I'll be back. He just wanted to admire the gray frame on the glasses. I think let us first then call Mr. Sandile Longwe, and he will immediately be followed by our very own Mr. Obrisebe. Immediately after him, we will then call Mr. Tsepiso Sibanda. Then when the three are done, then we will give room to the acting DDG to come, and then we will break to have a discussion. Just to alert you that we are streaming live on YouTube, and we've got a number of colleges that are joining us. I will request Mr. Sebe to send and share the updated link with our colleagues so that you may share this streaming link with them. And we will try to also, if we can perhaps get the DJ to also project it. But if you go on YouTube and Google Southwest Gauteng TVET College, you should be able to click on our live stream. So it will be that when the time for discussion comes, the people that are joining us also through Microsoft Teams, they will be given an opportunity to ask questions and share with us whatever that they would like for us to discuss on the floor. So with that said, we would like to call the three speakers, and immediately thereafter, they will be followed by the DDG. And to save time, there's a lot of English here: incubation, entrepreneurship. Colleagues, you will study this there on your own. I'll just call the names to save time. Thank you so much.
Let's have the speech first because they are making presentations. Those three, they are making presentations. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much, DJ. I'm back again. I will pay for the shoes comments today. We'll have the DDG first now, because the other colleagues, they are presenting. And colleagues that are presenting, we have got USBs here. Please come and collect from the table so that we can give the DJ to project for us whatever that you will want to present. So we'll use the opportunity to prepare all those presentations as the DDG is speaking. So it's not the regional manager. I think eventually with time, ladies, he will still give you other comments. It's okay. So please come. Can we please call Ms. Aruna Singh?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can we get some help from the technician? Oh, there we go. There we go. Thank you very much, Program Director, a very beautiful, charismatic Program Director, Ma'am Mabunda. You remember this, you stand shoulder to shoulder with all the public personalities we get from radio and television and everywhere else that's normally brought into program direct occasions like these. And when we see somebody like you and hear somebody like you, then we've got to wonder why. Because we've got to use our homegrown talent. So a very good morning to you. And the principal of Southwest Gauteng College, of this college, Mr. Monyamane, whom we listened to this morning, and your college management, TVET College principals, whom we've seen several of, and I'm delighted to see that the principals are present here. Our regional manager, a very busy man, Mr. Mashele, and program director, I hope I'm going to help you, because there's a whole, we acknowledging a host of stakeholders who are present here today. And it was the principal who mentioned them all by name. I'm not going to do that. I would acknowledge the organizations where that applies. But what I think is important for us to know is who is here. Actually here, present. We are expecting certain people, but we really want to know who's actually here. We know some might come a little bit later. But for now, as I call upon, as I acknowledge the organizations, if you could just put your hand up. If there's more than one of you from an organization, just all of you put your hands. Like if I say seaters, whichever seaters are here, you put your hands up. So if you can help us with that. And I'll start off with acknowledging the Small Enterprise Development Agency. Great. The National Youth Development Agency. Good. The Jobs Fund located with the National Treasury. The National Skills Fund. Allan and Gray Philanthropy. The National Business Initiative, the Technology Innovation Agency, TIA, great. The Dr. Maponya Institute of Entrepreneurship, wonderful. Managers of all other SETAs, including the Food Bev, Cat SETA, Cheetah, FP and M SETA, and a host. The more hands I see, the happier we are going to be. So let's see those hands coming up. Really? 1, 2. Okay, I'm just hoping that more are going to come along as we proceed. And then, of course, our college deputy principals, that's fine. You don't have to put your hands up. We know you are here, and it's an important event for you, especially those responsible for innovation and development. our student support services managers, center managers, coordinators, and very importantly, lecturers. And I would like for us to find a different name for those who teach in the entrepreneurship space in our colleges, because I do not believe that that mission can be accomplished with the traditional lecturers that we have. It would be nice to have another term for those who do that actual piece of work. And last but certainly not least, our senior management and officials of the Department of Higher Education and Training, and ladies and gentlemen, a very, very good morning to you after that long introduction. It is certainly my pleasure, and I am standing in for the real DDG, Mr. Zungu, this morning at this very beautiful Dobsonville campus of SWGC, and all the lovely things that have been said already about this campus have been borne out from the time you enter the building. And it is a delight to be joining you in this information sharing workshop, of which we've had a series, by the way, on the establishment of entrepreneurship hubs and incubators, as we call them, in our TVET College sector. I am also grateful that the principals, and I mentioned before, I've seen many who have prioritized this workshop from their very busy schedules. Congratulations also to the college. I heard from Mr. Munyamane's speech for the awards you have received so far. I think they deserve a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And this is an information sharing session, and that is why we host it at colleges that have succeeded in this particular space. And this is a very dynamic space, and I'm sure the speakers and the presentations that are going to come through in the rest of the day will demonstrate that. And because it is such a dynamic space, there is so much to learn and there is so much to share. And that is why these sessions are so important. And as a department, that is what we sincerely drive centrally and nationally, so that all our colleges can benefit from the good practices that are already happening in our colleges. Program Director, please allow me to state from the outset that TVET colleges simply have to be at the forefront of any strategy, whatever the strategy is, to ramp up economic growth. And not just economic growth, but it's economic participation. Every young person must be in a position to engage with the economy of the country. And that also includes promoting self-employment. Employment is, of course, the one, but self-employment is the significant other, where job creation is very flat and in negative territory for the greater part of the time. And this we do by equipping young people with the requisite skills and the confidence to establish their own small businesses or cooperatives. And I must say, despite all the lovely things we are going to say about entrepreneurship, first and foremost that it's important and what it takes to become an entrepreneur, it's also not for the faint-hearted, because those who operate in that space will know that the chances of failure, are also frighteningly high. And from the nods of the heads on the floor, I think you're going to be hearing a little more about that. So it just shows, all it says, it's a necessity, we stand committed to it, but it takes a whole lot of effort, and we've got to exploit what young people come with in order to achieve that, and I'll speak to that a little bit later. So I'm encouraged that in an effort to ensure that programs are responsive, public colleges are working hard to establish partnerships with key stakeholders and role players, such as industry and, like I said before, the sector education and training authorities. We see you as critical, and consistent partners. It's not about a point in time. We expect the SETAs to be there for the long haul, through thick and thin. I am certainly encouraged by the number of initiatives that have been introduced across the system to promote and entrench entrepreneurship in our colleges, and we know what colleges have been doing. Colleges have, over time, engaged in initiatives such as hosting business breakfasts, business lunches, and so forth. And we would like to see colleges broadening participation of industry by introducing other programs. We need to move beyond that into things such as mentorship programs for what our bona fide DDG calls TVETpreneurs. You've got to get your tongue around that. He's coined that term, which he wants to be unique for the sector, because we are the best sector to produce entrepreneurs because of the nature of the skills that we deliver. Universities are not ideal. They can in certain faculties, but not across the board. But TVET, and neither do schools, by the way. TVET colleges are the best positioned for the skills of the graduates that we produce, for those skills to become marketable and for them to become income generators. So that is why we need to brand ourselves as such, that we are the hub of entrepreneurship from the time our young people graduate from our institutions. And we must begin to showcase that is what TVET colleges are all about. And building a successful business is of course important, but why do we speak then about entrepreneurship? Is it one and the same thing? And I think people might differ. Is entrepreneurship starting a business? Yes, it is, because that's the manifestation of it. But entrepreneurship is about so much else. It's its own occupation, it's its own job. And we need to use our young people. I spoke about this before. You and I mean, those of us with gray hair and so forth, by the way, L'Oreal helps sometimes, are not in that space. We are not going to do it. But when we're working with young people, we've got to tap into what they have, their resourcefulness, their innovation, also their bravery to take on things. We are not brave, and we shouldn't be brave at this stage in our lives, but young people need to be fearless in taking on life and in taking on the opportunities that come there. That's a very important factor, and that will show you the difference between those that succeed and those that don't. They have to, and fearless doesn't mean they put their lives at risk or they put everything. It's not about taking risk. It's about putting every resource that you have, including yourself as a human being, your commitment, your resourcefulness, your discipline, the time, everything that you can to throw at something to make sure it's a success. That's what makes an entrepreneur. The center of it is a vision. An entrepreneurship has got to have an entrepreneur has got to have a vision, has got to see a need. They've got to see what is it that will work, what is it that people want. And just to be tangible, in South Africa, one of the entrepreneurs, that's not a businessman, we refer to him as a businessman, but Patrice Motsepe is an entrepreneur. He's not a businessman. He is a real entrepreneur. He owns a football club. He's a mining magnate. He belongs to many other social agencies. If you dig deep into his portfolio, you're going to find he's all over the place. That's an entrepreneur. And by the way, if you work in the Department of Higher Education and Training, and if you don't support Mamelodi Sundowns, you're in big trouble. And very, very much so, Elon Musk, also from Pretoria, by the way, is an entrepreneur. He's not a businessman. Richard Branson is not a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. We tend, and the reason I'm giving you these illustrations is, we tend to see entrepreneurship and an entrepreneur is this little person struggling along the roadside, selling something. it belies the concept of an entrepreneur. The ones I've illustrated to you is not that we want every graduate to get there. They won't. Very likely they won't. We hope so, they will. But that can't be our aspiration, because we are dealing with thousands of young people. But we've got to think differently about what an entrepreneur is. It's an ideas person. And that is what we need to tap into when we're dealing with young people. They need to be ideas people. And I will add one of my own. In the 21st century, in the world in which we live, we must also gear our young people in venturing out and doing what they do to be problem solvers. They must look at problems that exist in the community, in society, in the region, in the province, in the country. That is also a key area where entrepreneurs actually succeed. Even in times of COVID, we've had entrepreneurs succeeding because they were able to identify a need in a period of crisis throughout the world. So ladies and gentlemen, coming back to where we are in establishing these entrepreneurship hubs, it is estimated that small, medium, and micro enterprises contribute more than 30% of South Africa's GDP. And that shouldn't be surprising. I think it's something we know. Therefore, as we continue establishing partnerships with industry, our actions must never suggest in any way whatsoever that we downplay the important role played by SMMEs. They are incredibly important. These SMMEs are commonly found within many communities, such as here, even in Dobsonville. You'll see them all over the place. And they are critical for a growing and inclusive economy. I am confident that with the support of SMMEs, we will be able to reach the target of placing 20,000 unemployed TVET graduates for experiential learning. And that is something we have committed to as a department, but of course, we do not sit at the department and place students. We achieve those targets through what colleges do. Colleges place these students. We try to assist wherever we can. And looking deeper into it, these SMMEs employ or should employ more and more. As you generate another entrepreneur and they employ, the potential for placements grow, and that is what we are looking for. The focus today here is on promotion of entrepreneurship hubs and other entrepreneurship programs in TVET colleges. To date, 39 colleges have reported that they offer student-focused entrepreneurship programs. And I must say, given the short space of time in which we have tried to drive this very hard from the National Department, it is really just within this last MTSF period, the medium-term strategic framework period, that we've really given focus to entrepreneurship. And it's quite remarkable that 39 of our colleges are engaged in student-focused entrepreneurship. And we applaud that. But of course, of concern is the 11 that we still need to get there. Because as a system, we need all 50 colleges to be engaged in student-focused entrepreneurship for the very reason that I said. We are the institution type, TVET colleges, that should showcase entrepreneurship because of the skills and the competencies that we develop in our graduates. And I am confident that with the support of all the key stakeholders here today, we will ensure that all our 50 colleges provide these student-focused entrepreneurship programs before, and the time frame is important, before the end of this financial year. That should be our target. And at least we should get going, start off those baby steps, especially for the 11 that are not on board yet. One of the milestones achieved thus far is the establishment of 17 entrepreneurship hubs in the sector. So those are actual hubs like you've seen today. 15 of these hubs were established in partnership with the Small Enterprise Development Agency, SEDA, whom we have here today, and we will always be grateful for that. And 2 were established by colleges using their own funds. And that is what we really want colleges to do. We don't want colleges to sit with funds in bank accounts, because at the end of the day, that's still state funds. If it's earmarked for anything else, it's fine. If you want to really put up a building or develop your infrastructure, that's fine. But it should not just sit there idle. It should be used for very constructive exercises like these to provide entrepreneurial capacity building for our young people. And as I said, I would like to acknowledge the good work that has been done by CETA in establishing the Centers for Entrepreneurship, Rapid Incubators, Sea Fairies. And I know we always get one part of it wrong, but it's the Sea Fairies in TVET colleges, which essentially support students, youth, and the immediate community. We as a department, we play a supportive role. We do regret that we are unable to give funding, targeted funding for the establishment of entrepreneurship, but we provide support in driving events like this, by holding the partnership summit like we did last year, by engaging stakeholders, by signing MOUs with key partners. That's the way in which we drive the support in the background. And these are all critical partners who contribute. What we are telling you as colleges is to feed off and leverage that support with these partners, and that is why they are always invited to all of these occasions to assist you in getting the first steps of establishing these hubs going, even where the funding has not been made available. So ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, we are unable as a department to provide funding, as I've already said, as for many other things, due to budgetary constraints, and I'm told that approximately 4 million rands is required to establish an entrepreneurship hub. That's to establish it. It's a lot of money, but on the other hand, if you look at it is a potential income generator, it is not that phenomenal an amount, but if you need it, you need to find 4 million rands. And then of course you can't ignore the fact that there are running costs. That's a very important thing you've got to take into account. You can't just create a lovely building, put everything in it and think that's the end of the story. You're going to need personnel, there's going to be running costs and all of those things, which varies quite a bit, so you've got to have very detailed plans outlining that before you embark on a mission like this. And with that, I would like to call upon all the stakeholders who are present here today, having said that, to kindly lend support to the colleges who are still venturing out and getting into the space. With your assistance, we are confident that we'll be able to achieve the target of 50 colleges in the immediate future. So Program Director, last year's session that was hosted at False Bay College, we resolved to establish a TVET College structure that will be located within the South African Public Colleges Organization. That's SAPCO, made up of all the principals. And this critical structure will be responsible for, amongst other things, supporting colleges to offer entrepreneurship programs, raising funding for establishment of entrepreneurship hubs, implementation of entrepreneurship programs, and promoting the standardization of entrepreneurship education in TVET colleges. What that last bit is saying, it must be a norm. Whoever goes to a TVET college and anybody speaks about entrepreneurship, what are you doing, where's your facility, where are your students generating their ideas and so forth, it must be clear you take them somewhere and they are able to see students doing that. It must be a normal space in a college. I am pleased to report that the working group is at work finalizing the terms of reference for this particular structure. And the Deputy Minister, Mr. Buti Manimela, he was informed of the structure. Needless to say, he is delighted and he's keen to launch this structure next year during TVET month, which, as you know, happens in the month of August. Good. Thank you. So I am looking forward to the presentations, and that is why we asked for the boring speeches to be out of the way first, because we are going to have the interesting presentations coming forth after this, that will be made on what funding is available, the funding options, certain processes and procedures which TVET colleges must follow towards the establishment of these entrepreneurship hubs, as well as provision of other entrepreneurship programs that colleges may participate in. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank the host college, Southwest Gauteng TVET College, for organizing this information sharing workshop and for hosting the funders and the participants, and I wish you every success in the sharing experiences for this afternoon. I thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DDG. I thought I was short, but I realized when I come back here that I might be taller actually. You know, it's not a South African event until there's a car with the lights on, a car blocking the way. So yes, I'm here for that. We've got a Polo, registration KT46JN GP. That car is blocking the way. Thank you for making this workshop a South African event. If we can be assisted with that. I think the DJ is ready there. And maybe after the speech was definitely not boring, DDG. For me, it responds to a lot of things and also questions that I asked when completing my thesis. And with the recommendation on the strengthening and the establishment of those incubation hubs, because the students that I got to interview that were in business would start and then their businesses would fail because they don't have that support. I will see to it that I share it with you when it's published early next year. So there was nothing boring about that speech. Thank you so much. So it's time for SIDA, followed by Mr. Sebe and NYDA. DJ, thank you so much. Can I just ask all the other presenters to come and sit on the white chairs? You will be the next VIPs. I told you, waiting for your name to be called.
We don't have MC. Harna controller of whether we can control it. Okay, that's fine. I'll go through the phone and then the phone. Yeah. No, that's the thing. I thought there was going to be a phone call there.
Yeah, because I have one, but I'm not sure if it will work. Should I ask someone to bring it and try?
Yeah, let's try so that I can control the slides.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Not Mr. Sandile Longwe. Mr. Longwe couldn't come on today. My name is Chetro Ramuta, and I'm the manager at SIDA under the SIDA Technology Program, and I'm responsible for incubation. And I'd like to thank the department and all stakeholders for inviting us. We really like to share our experiences because we have already a track record and we've established over 100 incubators over the past couple of years. And this includes incubators that have been managed by or established through TVET colleges. We've got the champions there. Goldfields, who said they were the champions. We've got the members there, and these incubators, we've established them, given the center's funding, and given them a framework and support to establish it. And they've actually made a huge contribution. I mean, last year alone, if you look at the number of jobs that have been created, the number of jobs that have been sustained, and also the turnover increase in turnover of small businesses, that's over 10,000 jobs by the very TVET colleges that are sitting here. Over 500 SMMEs that have been assisted, millions in combined turnover, just because of the incubation program. I don't have a controller here. Sure. So CEDA's mandate, I'm going to go quickly, colleagues. CEDA's mandate, we established by the Small Business Act, and our mandate is to develop and support small businesses within the country, and that we do through various both public and private frameworks or channels to make sure that small businesses are supported. There are various strategic objectives that we have, and one of the reasons why we're here is to actually look at how we as CEDA can collaborate with the department in fulfilling the objective of establishing the incubation centers. So, but our main thing is to support small businesses to ensure that they become meaningful contributors to the economy. Thank you. Okay, so this is essentially our network of services. Some of you might know the CEDA branches, which is across all 9 provinces and all district municipalities across the country. But for purposes of today, the focus will be on the CEDA technology incubators and TVET incubators. So we've got currently over 110 of those incubators, and that is about over 20 come from TVET colleges and universities across all 9 provinces. So what we do, we, what we do as incubation, we give out a call, and we get both public and private entities to submit proposals. And with that proposals, we then fund these entities, like as in the case of, for example, Goldfields. And then from there on, then we've got an array of services that we provide under the CEDA technology program. We've got a technology transfer program where we assist small businesses with technology, where we provide them equipment for them to be able to kind of cushion them when they start their businesses and not having to invest a lot of capital. And we've got technology innovation, we've got quality and standards. If you, for example, if you manufacture a skin lotion and you need that lotion to conform to SABC standards, but you do not have the resources for that lotion to become approved by SABS, that's where you would even approach the incubation center and all our networks to be able to access the resource. This is also product design and product testing. Okay. All right, next one. Okay, so this is the crux or the core of the business. Our incubation program consists of 3 elements. The first one being the pre-incubation element. This is where whether it's startup businesses or existing businesses are then invited into the program or admitted into the program, and various activities are undertaken under pre-incubation. We have entrepreneurial skills assessments. Depending on the incubation that you have, there's an admission criteria. We assist with market opportunities and sector-specific regulations. So because incubators are varied, there are incubators in the mining sector, there are incubators in the chemical sector, there are incubators in aquaculture. So depending on the type of incubator, the type of business that's going on to the incubation program, the regulations will be based on what the industry standards are at that moment. And then the main one is the actual incubation and acceleration program. This is where we assist, or the incubator that is established will then assist the entrepreneur with capacity building, with business strategy, with governance structure, technology support, shared infrastructure, financial support, market access, quality and standards. Also, that's also part of the main basket of the SEDA technology program that we have. So if, for example, we have, I'm just making a simplistic example, if we've got a business, an entrepreneur that's doing furniture making, but now the business wants to scale for it to become profitable, they'll go to an incubator like FinTech. FinTech is a furniture incubator, then they'll be able to use the existing infrastructure and the resources and the facility to manufacture this at a higher scale, because normally what they'll start at home doing 1 or 2 or 3 furnitures based on orders. As the business grows, then they enter into the incubation program and say, look, I currently do not have the capital, I don't have the resources to scale up the business to provide more. I'd like to apply to FinTech to assist me with the facilities, and once they accept it, FinTech would then say, okay, yes, our facility, you are more than welcome to use at a very small fee, which would normally be about just 10% of what it would have cost the entrepreneur. And then in that way, the business would be able to scale to a point where it can meet the demand of the market, up until it goes to a point where it is self-sustainable and it goes to post-incubation. And then now they've built a track record to say, okay, we've been in this program for 2-3 years. Under incubation, we've created enough cash flow, we've created enough profit, and we are now attractive to get funding. Funding can come both from public and private. It can come through investor and venture capitalists, where they'll have pitching sessions to various investors, and investors will then get a small portion of their share, essentially buy shares in the small business, to say, okay, I'm gonna support you with, I'm gonna fund this business with 1 million, and with this 1 million, after 10 years or 5 years, there'll be an exit clause for me to then sell back the equity to the business. So from incubation and acceleration, that's post-incubation, that's when now the entrepreneur will graduate, the entrepreneur will be self-sustainable, the entrepreneur will be able to attract investments because they've got a track record, and the incubation program kind of cushions them against the harsh effects of operational cost of running an incubator. Okay, so this is just an overview of what our digital hub looks like, which is basically a cluster of technology where you'll get all the resources. And this varies from industry to industry. You will find some where it's more office, business, lounge based. You'll find others where it's more like of an industrial, it's in an industrial area, and maybe they do steel fabrication, and it will be based in a warehouse. Okay, this is essentially the same as the first one. I'm not going to go too much into it, but for a typical digital hub, you'll get a phase where there is the screening, and then from there on, this is more for IR incubators in the technology space, where someone will say, no, I want to create an app I want to create an Uber of cleaning services. I'm in Dobsonville, and I know there's a lot of people standing on the streets. They want to do gardening, they want to do cleaning. They can register on the app, and on the app, people around can then look for people that are available, and they'll pay a small fee, something like that. This is what a typical digital hub program will do. They'll do a skills assessment. They'll do assist the SMME with target market identification. They'll assist the SMME with business concept to product development and the business concept, assist with market size, with go-to strategy, and back office support for the entrepreneur up until that point that the entrepreneur is self-sustainable. This includes also pre- and post-funding assistance for the entrepreneur. Okay. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't want to stretch it too long. I hope we will have further engagements and more detailed engagements moving forward. Thank you.
Colleagues, good morning. Yeah, like they said, my name is Aubrey Seve from this college. Okay. Next. Maybe just to start, Acting DDG, we are one of those two colleges that have mentioned that they've started the Entrepreneurship Hubs without the funding from, I don't know how to mention their name because they are here. I might find my laptop downstairs, so the college has taken a decision in 2018 or in 2013 to establish this unit called New Business Development Unit. Then in this unit we're given 6 mandates. When it was not popular acting DDG about these occupational programs, then we're instructed to run the learnership skills programs, to do the placement of your WBE and the working target learning, to also assist with the bursary and the staff development, also to cater for the missing middle students. Then we are also doing what we call the partnership engagement with the students. Then we were also very active in the innovation and creativity. If I'm not mistaken, we are the first college pre-COVID to also bring the tablets to our level 4 students. So we've been in innovation somewhere back then before the tablets becomes popular. So when our level 4 students were given this tablet, so we're on innovation and creativity. Then the last item is the entrepreneurship development and incubation. Remember, colleagues, we are not funded. These are all the college initiatives, meaning that through their own surpluses, they must see to it that all these mandates are achieved. Next. Then we were fortunate, colleagues, to receive the building funded through the WNRC because we have to go and request them to fund the building. The building that we went at the site, it was built using WNRC fund. That is why you can see the shelves somewhere there because we wanted to bring our own pick and pay at some point into the college. So that building that we are using at the moment is now called Entrepreneurship Development Center. The same structures is available within all our 6 campuses, but not the exact building because in the other campus, the colleges to improvise using their own venues, meaning that at one of campus, we have to convert one of the offices into the same SME centers. Then I think what makes us different to the other colleagues that in 2018, the senior management took a decision to appoint 6 lecturers who have to teach this entrepreneurship.
but not the entrepreneurship and new venture that is going to be examinable at the end of the year, just to assist our students who are at the exit level to understand and grasp the content of the entrepreneurship. Then amongst the students, we also saw advantage that our college is situated in we have got campuses that are situated in the suburbs, meaning that it's not easy to access the malls or whatever way. So we decided to use our own cafeteria as a model to assist our students to see their capabilities in terms of these entrepreneurships. Then you will see there we've mentioned 3 campuses. You are Roodepoort campus, Roodepoort West campus, and Dobsonville campuses, the campus we're in now. We use the modality of having to choose 4 students who showed the character of starting their own businesses. One, it was the business management students, HR students, financial management students, hospitality student, and marketing students. Then we formed the group of co-op. We registered those co-ops as the colleges. We even offered them 30,000 each as a start-up to prepare those co-ops. Then all of those 3 cafeterias must be run. The money that that 30,000, we gave them as a grant, but hoping that at the end of the year, we gave them this contract to say at the end of the year, they must be able to return our 30,000 back so that the next group can be able to get the same money. Our arrangement with those co-ops was, if you can return that 30,000 within the first year, you don't pay any interest. If you exceed by a month, we start negotiating the interest part of it. So that is another initiative that the college has taken in order to ensure that our students are engaged in the entrepreneurship. We also have a campus at George Table campus. That's where the clothing production is. So our PPEs during the COVID, in terms of the masks, that's the targeted group of students that we're using. At the moment, we just signed an agreement with Hamisa Group. They received 49 million funding from IDC. They have to build a manufacturing company around Roodepoort. Hundreds of our students who have been in the SME, who have been doing these clothing productions, are linked already as the distributor and the manufacturer to the Hamisa Group. So when the project kicks in next year, already we've got 100 students waiting to be part of the cohort that will assist Hamisa Group in achieving their target of producing 200,000 PPEs per month. Next. These are our SMME key pillars. We said, number 1, we want to build capacity in terms of the entrepreneurship using our classroom and digital platforms. Only in 2023, we managed to train 312 students on these digital platforms in partnership with Hamisa Group. Pillar number 2, the strategic business management unit focusing on providing incubation. In the center that we visited, only in 2023, we had 6 key students that we want to incubate. The first one was on IT. Dylan Musanga, the one we're using, those who were at our group. He also one of the winners or runner-up in Allan Gray competition. So he's one of the learners or students that were incubating in IT. We also have a learner who won in Artisan, again in the Allan Gray competition from Mulaba campus. She's on construction building. So she's also one of the incubators that were busy at the Mulaba campus. We also have the students who are doing business. You will see the picture. We've got a company that we've incubated. Fortunate, or the good part is the same company that we incubate on the business consulting. We assist them in applying for the grants with the relevant SETAs. At the moment, one of those companies placed almost 59 of our students because they received funding from the SETAs. So that's also assisting in our work integrated learning targets. Then we also have the tax practitioners, those who want to start their own business. We're also incubating them throughout the CIPC, NYDA, and the other type of business. Then the last students that we are also incubating this year, it was the organic egg. Those who are attending the Allan Gray last year, you know we are the only college who came runner-up with Allan Gray competition for the organic egg. So the students is still part of us. We are incubating here also as part of her developmental business purposes. Then pillar number 3, the financial management focus, capacitating the entrepreneurship. We have plus minus 60 SMMEs around Soweto or Soweto Township that we have partnered with. So we are assisting them in terms of the financial management. So recently in the same venue we hosted a very successful, I think SIDA was also part of the event. We hosted a very serious seminar in terms of the financial management workshops for all the communities and the students who are in business here. Then the last pillar was for business network. This one we're in a partnership with University of Johannesburg, UJ. We have signed an agreement to develop 1.5 million, assisting our township ICT SMMEs. For this year, we graduated 70 ICT SMMEs that we incubated for the whole year. I think our principal was there during the graduation at UJ. So these are the 4 pillars that as the college we are taking to assist our students. Please take note that we are not funded. Next. DDG, acting DDG, this is one of the colleges that has got the students with, this campus has got students with special needs. We have got partners such as your Blind SA, Tutukisa Institute, and many others who are taking care of those students. But those students also deserve the opportunity to become their entrepreneurs also. So our target for this year is to identify 10 students with special needs, of which 5 was from this campus and 5 was from Rodiport campus. Then we're assisting them through Trustnet and Blind SAA in the formulation of their business plans. And I know from where I sit, we just only have 2 graduated recently from the Blind SA. So they will be starting to come to the college and assisting the other students with special needs in terms of the business funding, how to start their own business, and many others. So the same vicinities that we visited, we do have the incubation centers or spaces wherein we give them platform to come and advise the other students with special needs from these campuses. We are also, one of our roles is to ensure that we get the speakers, the mentors, and any other funders, such as your Maponya Institute for Entrepreneurship. They bring their own key stakeholders to the college because they are our strategic partner. They bring their own stakeholders to come and advise our students on a continuous basis. So we are trying to reach all the milestones in terms of all the students who are interested in the entrepreneurship, more particularly the students with special needs. Next. These are the services that the college is offering. Majoritarily, it's free of charge from our own students and the communities that normally come and do the walk-ins. We are existing because of those communities. In terms of the trainings, we are training most of our partners through the new venture creation. That's why at least we're able to receive some income medal. The cities will inject some sort of funding, such as training 30 learners in new venture. For example, at the moment we have the contract with Construction Center to identify all these construction, the resuming construction business in training them on the new venture creation. That's why we're making some incomes. We also have the non-accredited programs such as your one-day programs of time management, financial management, wherein our partners such as your Standard Bank, ABSA, will come and do those presentations free of charge to all our community and also our students. Then Mr. Trala, as the center supervisor, you always go out to SARS, negotiate some better discount for those businesses that have been not complying to tax for our students, so that the SARS can assist them in also managing their tax issues. We also bring the banks time and again to come and advise us in terms of the new legislation that the banks are bringing and many other issues. Resources. The office space available there, colleagues, is for the college students mainly and the community who need to use our facilities. We only charge if there's a business advice that we must provide, and it must be done by somebody external. Because some of the business are above our level, so we normally request those business people expertise to come and advise. Also our smaller boardroom that we're in, that's where we normally borrow. Those who want, you can rent it to come and have your own discussion there, but obvious, because if it's the community, they have to assist us in paying our bills. Then in terms of the business registration, these are the free services that the college is doing. All the students who show capabilities and capacities in terms of the business, of starting their own business, we register them through their CIPC, SARS, and CSD, only for the first time. So from in the future, or coming the next time moving forward, you do your own compliance so that you can pay if you don't comply. But for the first time, we introduce them, their business are registered free of charge, the college incur those costs. Then in terms of the events, we have the business plan competitions, wherein the number one business plan winner will get maybe 30,000, depend on the fund, how much we received in that particular period. Then we also have the business breakfast, we also have the market day. I don't want to mention Allan Gray because we are all participating. Next. Then this is the funding model that the college has been using, of which we will also try to relook at it in the coming academic year. Then in terms of the trainings that we are doing, for example, Construction Center want us to train on new venture creation, 100 learners. 30% of the allocated amount becomes the profit of the college. Meaning that out of 1.5 million, we end up having to keep 300,000 to assist us in our operations. Then, in terms of the college budget, we normally rely on the college budget to assist in the infrastructure, not in terms of the trainings, but in the infrastructure. That's where the college normally put the money, like the principal have indicated. Only 2021 they injected plus minus 2.8 million to assist in making sure that all our SME centers looks the same. Then we also have the resources like hiring of the office space, the photocopy and related services, internet connection. These are the only for those companies that comes external who want to access our premises. If they want to use our internet, we always have to say put something. If they want to make copies, we also request them to do something. Then in terms of the events I've mentioned, the business plan and others. Next. For only 2023, the college, in one way or the other, we've trained 2,800 students into the entrepreneurship development. One way or the other. It's either through the SARS workshops, it's either the entrepreneurship development, it's either through the Allan Gray competitions. But when we look at our total number for Q3, it was sitting at 2,800. Next. This is one amongst the strategic partners. I've included 60 local township SMMEs. You have got your ABSA, NetBank. We just recently signed the MOU with Standard Bank. You have got your national youth development agencies. If they hear, they know that time and again, they spend almost 1 week in every month in one of our campuses. Then we've got the city of Johannesburg for their communities who need to become the entrepreneurs. Then you've got Muripe Holdings, to KISA trainings. These are the partners that normally when we seek funding, we apply with them because they've got the good footprint in terms of the funding negotiation with the funders, including Maponya Institute. Beyond the Ability Talent Solution, Belgium campus, you have seen the aquaponics just next door. Though it's not in the good state, but it is fully funded by the Belgium campus, free of charge for the college youth and the community youth, of which we have received the clear instruction somewhere in July from the senior management that it must be up and running from 2024. Then you also have the future managers for the competition. Next. This is part of the plans that we had for 2023. Among the 6 students that I've mentioned that we've incubated, we also include the Eco-Smart Agriculture Hub, of which organic egg was part of those kind intervention. Artisan in entrepreneurship, you know our students who won from Allan Gray. The sourcing of funding for refurbishment of the center. We still need our centers to look like the CEDA-funded centers, though the budget didn't allow us. Reinvent the equipment and prepare the programs. We want to have, the intention for 2024 was to have all our students to enroll either in a new venture level 2 or level 4 qualification as non-examinable, so that when they complete their qualification in a learnership form, because we are accredited by the various centers, so that when they complete, they have the knowledge of if they want to start their own business. Next. This is some of the benefits that from the Dobsonville campus, the one I've mentioned. We are also in negotiation with the University of Johannesburg to take over the refurbishment of our aquaponics center free of charge, so that we are going to partner with them. Already they've introduced us through Maponya into the market and the city of Johannesburg. So there is a potential that the aquaponics center will be up and running as from next year. Then also having the market linkages and also the networking services. Next. Our vegetable campus in Tademusiano is left. We have all forms of agricultural products there. We also have a farm towards Mahalisburg. You'll forgive me, my capital, if I didn't address it well. But we also have the farm where our students who are doing plant productions are staying. So one of the things that we intend to do as from next year, our farming, our channels available in the vegetable campus will be leased to our own students who are starting this agricultural farming project. The college will have already procured some tools and equipment to ensure that those who are interested in starting those kind of business are supported. We bought them the seeds, the layers, and any other resource of farming that they will need. So we want to ensure that come 2024, having the meeting of this, the gathering of this magnitude, will be reporting to say these are the target numbers that we've achieved. Next. This one I don't even have to go through because you know we won, so which means we've achieved it. Next. Artisans and entrepreneurship, we won Agrico Allan Gray, so it shows we've achieved it. The target was 600 students, though we managed to went through around 300, but only one managed because Allan Gray only was giving only 1 award. If he wanted us 6 awards, we were going to have those 6. Next. This is just in a highlight. We have already for this year applied with Maponya Institute through the IDC for our entrepreneurship development in terms of the office space. We have identified 2 key spaces where we want to build an entrepreneurship hub outside the college, somewhere in Chamdo and just after this campus. There is a space there. So we submitted a proposal to IDC to develop around 300 million. We have established the partnership. I've mentioned the banks. The sitters normally fund us, like I've mentioned. We normally apply when the normal window opens, any discretionary grant. UJ, Office of the Premier in Gauteng, they're also one of our target that we are speaking to them in order to fund our students. Next. Yeah, like any other institution colleagues, you jump the challenges, my boss. Yeah, like any other institution colleagues, these are minor challenges that we are also facing. Remember, we are not funded, so CDIC is taking notes. Limited access to students, that's one we are resolving it internally. Lack of resources, CEDA, limited organizational support. We have appointed the supervisor now, Mr. Twala is here with phone in and out. Insufficient budget in Tatemunyaman. So these are minor challenges that in order for us to grow like exactly what Ferris Jimmy is doing Goldfield, we need a little bit of more injection. So thank you so much. Don't show the pictures.
I close all. It's not too close.
Needs to be so we can hear you.
Okay. No, thank you very much. Is it audible? No, thank you very much, Program Director, the lady in red with beautiful shoes. Thank you very much, stakeholders, DDG present, CITAS present, our funders, and all the stakeholders present here. Young aspiring entrepreneur, Colette Mamabolo, aka Tiwos Maputla, I saw you here, and all the stakeholders present, all protocol observed. Let's move to slide number 11. But before we go to slide number 11, my name is Tshepiso Sibanda. I hail from the National Youth Development Agency. I just want to firstly touch few things before I can enter into our presentation. One of our ministers, of whom I'm not going to mention by name, once said, this beautiful country has so many policies, so many documents, beautiful documents that are not implemented at all. So as the NYDA, every time when we are invited to such beautiful workshops, we always ask a simple question: what needs to be done? Out of the question or the challenges that we are having, those challenges are in each and every year. Agencies, funders fund young people, but after few years, those businesses are closed down. What is to be done? Because we might sit here and have the whole day presentations, but if we are not going to enter into the core, the real question of what is to be done, we will do one thing over and over, like what Albert has said, and expecting different results. That will be the problem. Because we will then be indirectly venturing into fruitless and wasteful expenditure as government agencies and government departments. But we can't just ask ourselves questions and not have answers to those questions. We must partially, as the youth organization that is tasked to tackle issues of young people, we must also come up with few answers. Colleagues, one of the answers is that we fund young people who are not ready for businesses. we fund young people who are not ready to run businesses. We run after targets because the targets are set. But unfortunately, we are venturing into fruitless and wasteful expenditure indirectly. That is what is happening. I'm raising this because if you check all the requirements of funding of young businesses, we just say young person must produce a certificate or produce some sort of entrepreneurship proof, then we say that you are ready. In my olden days, I went to Tshwane University of Technology. I studied business management, but it had nothing to do with business, because I saw that I'm not an entrepreneur myself. So those are some of the things that we really need to have a debate where we put presentation aside and we debate the real core issue. Are all the trainings of entrepreneurship, blah, 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 new venture creation, are they sufficient enough to can fund, for us to fund those young people? What tools can we use to fund those businesses? Because it's a fact that after 5 years, we can even go to CIPC. Check. Those businesses that have registered 10 years ago, 70% of them are non-compliant and others are closed down. That's reality. That's reality. It's quite easy now to register a business. By the way, I can walk from here to the gate and my business will be registered. Before I sleep today at night, I would have received my certificate. Is it still advisable to talk about business registration to a person who is unemployed sitting at home, who just want to enter into the world of economy? Those are some of the questions that we must really ask ourselves. But however, we also need to have solutions. I don't want to touch their nerves because they are our funders. I was very worried when the new venture creation at the 7-seater was discontinued. I was very worried. Because that program, if we are then able to capacitate that program properly, we are then able to realize some growth of businesses, of young people. Because it's a program that when we go for a full course, it lasts for a year. If we couple that new venture creation that goes through the entire year, we couple it with the mentorship, we are then able to realize something. We have seen that it works. But these short courses that last for 2 weeks and we fund, they don't work. Because after a few years, because the businesses that closes down are categorized into different aspects. Aspect means that there are those who just get funding, then they still continue applying for employment. Then when they get employment, they leave those businesses. Because intentionally, their role was not to get to businesses. Their main purpose was to have food on the table. But what tools, which type of a tool can we use to identify those that want to be an employees indirectly and end up entering into businesses? DDG, you have said it, to run a business is something that is very difficult. It needs someone who is ready. It needs someone who is ready. And we need to ready ourselves so that we are then able, our government doesn't have money. If you can listen to all the speakers, in particular from the principal, they want money indirectly. The speech was about money. You have achieved, thank you very much, but you want money. So, but how then do we use this money? We need to enter into that. But let me enter into that because I'm not Mamelodi Sundowns fan. I might be taken out of the program. Let's move to slide 8. We pass this one. Let's move to slide 11, where it talks about businesses. Yes, we can stop here. Within the NYDA, we have 2 clusters. The first cluster is what we call a skills development cluster. The cluster that I'm not going to touch today because it is specifically meant for young people who want to be an employees. So I'm going to dwell much on the economic development cluster and the programs that we have within the economic development cluster. We have run several programs with Southwest College. We are in partnership with them. For the past 7 years, we have been coming here in all their campuses, running the entrepreneurship development program, tackling the issue of young people. So economic development cluster is a cluster that is specifically meant. In the economic development cluster, then we have based on the research and based on the outcome of the experience that we have learned, we have then tailor-made the programs as follows. The first program, when you enter, we take through the program called management program, or you can call it entrepreneurship development program, because entrepreneurship, it's a process. It's a process of gathering resources and making sure that you run a successful and a sustainable business. And running that business, you are then able as a young person to hire other people. You can move to the next slide so that I'm able to. Sorry, before you move to the next slide. Colleagues, they are married to one another. You start with the BMT, then you go to what you call a sales pitch, then we take you through the process of a voucher program, then after voucher program, we take you through the grant. The voucher program is where we talk about registering of businesses. We don't talk about registering of business anymore at the NYDA before we take you through the BMT training. And the BMT training can last for a period of 3 days. That is the first one. We give you homeworks, you go home, you come back for 5 days. We give you homework, you go home. It can last for a period of 6 months. Then when we see that you are not ready, we refer you to the trainings that we run within the NYDA under the technical skills training. Because you find a young person who is dedicated in electricity, but that young person, he or she is not even a qualified artisan. So how are you going to run a successful business doing electricity, but you don't know anything about electricity? We take you through the technical skills training. Because we have seen that all young people who have taken through, who have a technical skills training, are then able to run successful and sustainable businesses. Because they are doing something that they have learned. You can move to the next slide. So the entrepreneurship, which is known as the BMT, its aim is to educate young people about businesses in a nutshell. It's a school where we take you through those processes that I've already mentioned. We train you first before we can fund you. You don't come and we fund and we become surprised when the business is not going our way, because our way is successful business and sustainable businesses. Next. So, under the BMT, we have what we call the interventions that we have. The courses that we have are the pre-startup, where a young person comes with an idea. You have an idea, but you have not yet polished your idea. We take you through the training. You must tell us, where does this idea come from? How are you then going to make sure that this idea works? Then we polish where there is a need for us to polish. But also, if you don't know, if you are not sure, we are also able to see that, no, this one is not a business person. This one is an entrepreneur, then we refer you to a skills program through the assessment. Then the second phase is a survivalist. Here you are running a business, but your business is not doing well. We call it a survivalist. You have an idea, you have passion about business, but your business is not doing well. We take you through a specific course of 5 days where we train you on how to make sure that your business reach a stage where we want, a stage of break even. Then we also have a stage where we assist startups. Startups, they are those who have registered businesses. They are like survivalists. We also take you through the process. You have been running the business, but you don't know how to market the business. You are not innovative enough to can grow the business, because our primary goal is to make sure that young people run businesses that has potential of growth. Because what we want to do as government agency is to deal with the trouble challenges. Then if your business grows from a tuck shop to supermarket, we are then able to realize young people being hired to come and work at those supermarkets. But if your business is not growing, we need to check the do and the don'ts in that business. Then here, what we normally do, or what we do, we link you with the mentor who is running the same business as that young person. Then that person, so that that person can be able to mentor that, going to my Mamelodi Sundowns. I will be very quick. So, the other one is a growth and expand business. In growth and expansion, it's where we then deal with the issue of referring you to other stakeholders, because sometimes funding a business, we might end up venturing into underfunding. We fund the business only to find out that the business still needs financial injection to do good things like the Southwest College. Then what we do is that we partner with the CIFA, IDC, and other stakeholders, then we refer our young people to those stakeholders. You can move back to the slide on top so that I'm able just to touch everything on a high level. The next one. Yes. So, in a grant program, here it's money in the business, but we don't pay directly to the young people's business account. You young person, they come to the NYDA, we fund from 1,000 based on the business types that we are having. We can't find a survivalist business or an idea business with 100K. We only give, it is categorized based on the business, where the business is and how much do you qualify for. But we fund from 1,000 to a maximum of 200,000 for the PTY LTD businesses. And we fund from 1,000 to 250K for the cooperatives. That is the grant funding that we have within the NYDA. The mentorship, we mentor you based on the business that you are running. We link you. We link a young mentee with a mentor who is running the same business as the mentee. The cooperatives, I'm not going to dwell much. We also assist young people. There's a cooperative businesses where we train you on how to sustain cooperatives, how to register cooperatives, and how to make sure that you manage the finance together with the marketing of the cooperative businesses. Then the technical skills, in closing, is where we partner with all colleges. We partner with all colleges to run the technical skills training. When we have funding from other institutions, like the CETAs that we have, we are in partnership. We are also partnering, we are continuously partnering with all colleges so that we can be able to run an effective training under the technical skills training. Without wasting time, Lady in Red, thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very well prepared presentations, and the bragging presentation also by Mr. Sebe over there, quite lovely. I would like to take this opportunity to just lower the amount of time that we had allocated for our discussion. However, if you really have something that is burning, that cannot even wait for tea break, that you strongly feel that when you pose that question or that comment, it will go away in assisting everyone that is in this room and eventually reach everyone out there, we will show by the raise of hands so that we can ask those questions. You know, the passion that the last speaker had, if there can be a way that when our students are exiting and they are looking at entering the labor market or the economy, he can come with that fire and that energy. I really believe that there can be a change in terms of how we view entrepreneurship. So I don't know, colleagues, if with our presenters still here, is there anyone who would like to ask something? While you are still thinking, when he says that there's money that goes to funding and businesses that are never really established, it reminded me of this young man, they say he was starting a business, and when he saw someone walking in, he wanted to fake it, and they say fake it, this is real. And he picked up the phone and he said, yeah, I've signed that 20 million deal. Yeah, no, I'm also waiting for the other one. I think that one is around 10. And the gentleman waited, and then he said, okay, bye, and then he hung up. He said, how can I help you? And the gentleman said, no, I'm here to connect your telephone lines. So yeah, the guy was just trying to make it look like he's making it. So with all the fundings that we are really giving and saying so many businesses have been established, how many are sustainable? That is the big question. Is there anyone with questions? Okay, I've noted one, I've noted two. Can we have another mic? We do have. Are those the only hands? Nyanazi phela, maseba khulumile. You'll hear someone say, Linna, all of a sudden. Going once, okay, there's a third hand. Okay, in that order, and you can even indicate to whom are you directing the question. If it's a question, if it is a comment, please introduce it as such. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Dylan Chibela. To the last speaker, the presentation that you had is very fruitful. So my question is, when it comes to protecting the business ideas that young people come with to you, what is it that you use? Because most of us as young people, we are afraid to come with the entire business idea because they end up being stolen. So what is it that you can put on place in order to protect those business ideas? Thank you.
Can we move to the next gentleman? We'll note all the questions and then they will be responded to.
Thank you so much. I'm Rozani from TVET College. I was going to say to NYDA, I think you should also consider funding the seafaring graduates because they've gone through vigorous training. Remember, whether you're a student outside, you're unemployed, and you start to run a business, when you come into seafaring, we train you, we register business for you, we go through product development or service development. A product starts from a niche. If you're making bricks, we go through how do you make a bricks and how do you sell the bricks until you take the product to the market. And the biggest challenge that we have is an incubation. Funders or DFIs tend to close an eye on us while we train those SMME. Some of our SMME are selling products abroad. Some are selling products in China. And we are so happy to say it's an incubation. We are doing very good. We have got people who are doing furniture, we have got people who are doing detergents, we have got products. I think in future, DDG, you need to call us to make exhibition. Because when we come here, you can't see our impact without seeing people that we are helping. NYDA usually assists our students with seed funding, so that when the students start a business, they give them from 0 to 50,000. That 50,000, we use it. We mentor a person who's starting a business, whether it's fashion development, whether it's any business that they are doing. we are assisting them very well. So I was also suggesting to NYDA to say, let's make a formal compact between Seferi, particularly from the TVET sector, to say, take about 10 per college and say we assist, we train, and you fund them with 50,000 over a process of 18 months, which is a cohort, yes. And you come and monitor and see whether we have assisted and we are making the direct impact that you will end up seeing that we are creating more jobs. One other last challenge that we find, as we get into Joburg currently, I've seen City being deserted. All those big firms that we were expecting them to start a business and create employment, they are deserted and they are not working. And as an incubation, I think either government is putting a blind eye on the intervention that an incubation can make. Because we can go all out, all your students that are graduating in different colleges who are unemployed, if you can tell them to come to the incubation and they go on an 18-month program, which is vigorous, you can train them and take them to the market. While they're on the market, we have a business development officer that makes sure that those people have got access to the market, that makes sure those people have got access to funders. And when they've got access to funders, every month we make sure we report to SIDA to make sure this person has generated about 15,000 in 3 months. The biggest challenge we have is now towards December, SIDA, that when we close now in December, people go and eat all the money that we have assisted all throughout the year. So it's the problem. When we are out, they waste, but when we are working, they work very hard. And furthermore, I'm also saying to see that we need to move on into a situation where, as an incubation, we need access to the market. We need this to be debated with either the head or government to say we have products and services that our civil is doing. We need access to the market. We don't want to help one person. We want to a mall to say our people should just sell their clothes in a mall. Our people should start having access to government to sell them their detergent and you use our product. Because we are producing water in different quality. But where are we selling this water if you are not buying from us? As we are discussing the establishment, let's also discuss access to the market. Even if you say 10% will be given to our youth, and this youth will make sure as an incubation, these people have sustainable business. That's our plea to both government, SIDA, and NYDA. To NYDA, once again, thank you very much. Make sure you call all of us and we make an MOU so that you give us a seed fund of 50,000. It will make us a number. Thank you very much.
Okay, we can have the last hand over there.
Thank you very much, we know it's not easy, but we'll follow the model. We have learned a lot from you. NYDA, I don't have passion with you, but the problem is one. We are chasing the same target. And now in the districts or in our provinces, we end up being enemies. You are operating in your own silo. I'm also operating in my own silo. When I say at the end of the day, we have challenges that everyone is facing. I'll make an example here. Imagine how is it going to be if, for an example, we train all these young people, we register them. After we've registered them and we are certain that they are ready for funding, we refer them to you. Then we give them those vouchers while they are ready for funding. We're going to do wonders. But it's not like that, because in the end we are chasing the numbers. And that is a problem, Chief. I think we need to change and communicate with your colleagues in different provinces there, that they must not operate from their own corners, in their own silos there. We must come together. Makeda, thank you very much. We need to know you with NYDA from a very position as well. I think we must discuss it at that level, where we understand each other, and where we can have smooth lines of operations from national to the provinces to use SIDA. You are saying you are funding, but you have cut the budget of the existing one. Do we have a capacity to accommodate other that is outstanding from 50, so that at least you can take the whole 50 tickets? That's my question, Chief. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, thank you so much. In that order, I think I will allow, there were 2 questions directed at NYDA. But for the gentleman from Vembe, if you were working in this particular campus with all the presentation and pleas that you made, my campus manager will say, I've heard you. Reduce it to writing.
No, indeed, they must reduce it to writing. Let's put everything under MOU, Seferi, so that we are able to know. Because it will be wrong for me to sit here and claim as if I know what is Seferi. So let's come together so that we are able to do. Your question, put it in writing. We are welcoming the MOU. So the question that I'm going to respond is only one. Is the one of saying, how do we protect? One thing that we want to do as the NYDA, D stand for development. D stand for development. We must firstly develop you so that you are able to understand that it is not easy to steal someone's idea if the idea is protected. The unfortunate part is that the prototype that we are having are not yet standardized. So we are in partnership with South African Bureau of Standard. Anything that we do, any business that we do in South Africa, it needs to be standardized. They were talking about bricks. Those bricks need to be standardized. They must pass through the South African Bureau of Standard. But if they haven't went through that process, it simply means that a young person, you need to come to the NYDA. Like I said, we don't talk about your idea and say present your idea. The sales pitch is there at the bottom. We must firstly educate you on where to go, institutions, so that you can be able to firstly protect your idea before you can put your idea on the table or on the do's and the don'ts of your business. When you enter the NYDA's offices, we don't seek your business plan because it's your own business. We teach you on how to protect that idea, on how to protect that product, and where to go. Then you yourself, because the business doesn't belong to the NYDA, it belongs to you. We must show you the way, not the other way around. So my brother, come to the NYDA so that we are able to educate you on that, but we have not yet stolen any idea in our entire life, and we can't do that. We teach you on how to protect your own idea, and that one is highly welcome. I know young people are afraid to present their ideas because they feel like the ideas might be stolen. There's no one who can steal your idea if you have protected your idea. It's like a driver's license that is registered under your name. There's no way that someone can come tomorrow and claim to be Tsepiso Sibanda with the same ID. It's quite impossible. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Okay, thank you. My good sir, the session today is essentially to share information. Where I think you are in a very good position to know the situation generally in the country, let alone what the department or SIDA. I think our contribution is to say to the department, okay, let's look at modalities and let's look at which model works. Let's share our costing model with them. Let's share our ecosystem partner model with them. Let's share our incubation framework model with them to establish these centers. Yes, Acting DGG said that yes, 4 million is required to establish, and that's correct. But perhaps if we look at co-location, if you look at the hybrid model, if you look at, say, for example, saying we're bringing the likes of NYDA on board, how will that kind of reduce the cost to maybe from 4 million to say 2 million or 1 million? You could bring our ecosystem partners on board, the EU on board. So for us, I think the discussion will go beyond this session where we'll go in deeper and look at other models in more detail on how we can support and share our experiences for establishing centers and for them to fulfill that objective. In terms of markets, yes, you are quite right. We did do a survey or site verifications where the biggest cry for a lot of SMMEs is access to markets. There are brilliant products that our SMMEs are producing, but unfortunately access to markets is one of the greatest challenges. And my good self from NYDA did say that we've got good policies, good regulations, but implementation of that is the problem, where we say that X percentage must go to local SMMEs, but unfortunately the reality is that implementing that is still a challenge in our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I ask that we all rise? You really needed that stretch. I can tell. So if you look behind you, it will feel like we are on British Airways or something. You know, the flight attendants kind of dress code. There's coffee right there in the back. And I said we've got enough clocks in this room. When it points to number 7, we must be back. It's either we'll finish sipping our coffee while we're seated, so we'll quickly greet, if we haven't greeted each other, have coffee, and then we come back shortly. Thank you so much.
I will be conducting the presentation on behalf of the National Skills Fund. Next slide. My overview, it's like that. It's gonna be obviously the vision and the mission, the National Skills Fund policy. The next slide, my leader. And then our footprint, and then how are we a Catholic funder, and then how do we support skills development and entrepreneurship. Then I will take you through how we do the whole funding process. Okay, next one. So our vision is to provide funding for the skills. So that is why we are in collaboration with the TVET, in cooperation with the private SDPs, in collaboration with universities. Anyone who can train our youth, who can train our adult people, we are willing to form a joint venture with them, and then we'll obviously provide the funding. As we are here at the Southwest Gauteng, they are the training development and we are the funding part. So that's how normally we join the ventures. And then our mission is to build obviously a capable South African capable workforce that will contribute to economic participation and social development. And just in general about National Skills Fund, I don't know how many of you know about it, but it's a public entity. It was established in 1999, and our top boss is obviously Minister Blade Zimande. And then we obviously fund skills or programs that are regarded or that are recognized as the national priorities. We are all aware that there are so many qualifications in the country, and some are priorities and some may not be. So we are mostly guided by the National Skills Development Plan of 2030. And then our funding is mainly in two phases. We're funding, firstly, is the education and training, where we're doing the bursaries, the scholarships, the internships, skills program, and workplace learning. And then the other one is where we actually provide the infrastructure itself at TVETs, at universities, and also the research and innovation. So we've got two ways of funding, and then I'm gonna be explaining to you on how that is conducted. You can go to the next slide. Obviously, the National Skills Fund obviously reports to Parliament, and we also have a legislative mandate, but it is mainly funded by the Skills Development Levy. And those of you who are here that are from industries, you will know that you pay the Skills Development Levy, and that eventually comes through to the National Skills Fund, and we are also partly funded by the Departmental of Higher Education. And our main objective is to provide easy access on post-education and training. And these are all the policies and the acts that guides our operation, and some are the government entities that we work with. You can go to the next slide. And I'll just take you through our national footprint depending on which provinces you come from, or just to brief you on how National Skills Fund is divided. So for this province we are in, it's Gauteng, Northwest, and Free State. They are under one region, and that is done in Pretoria. We are on 178 in Denai Street, Francis Bart. But in that division, there is bursaries, and then there is also program and monitoring. And then in the Western Cape and the Northern Cape are also one region. They have their offices in the Western Cape. And then we also have KZN and Eastern Cape. They also have one office in KZN. At the moment, when it comes to Limpopo and Mpumalanga, there is no provincial footprint, but their project managers and all their staff, they sit with us in Pretoria. Okay, so that is how we basically run the whole National Skills Fund. And then our key stakeholders, the main beneficiaries or the targeted group, are those individuals who are not in training, not in employment, and also not in education and training. That is why we call them the NET group or the NET group. And in those groups, we mainly prioritize women, people with disabilities, SMMEs, and rural communities. We also do some participation in provincial forums. Sometimes Provincial Skills Forum. We also attended that. We do have our quarterly meetings with them just to understand what their plans are. Okay, you can go on to the next slide. And then this is where, guys, most our funding goes to, and this is where we are active as a Catholic funder. And remember, our program is to build a skilled and capable workforce, and also to improve the PSET system. When we call it PSET, it's post-school education and training improvement. So those who could be universities, we provide the National Research Fund, we provide bursaries, we also build infrastructures for the universities. When it comes to the TVET as well, we're active in the same space. We build the centers of specialization, we do the infrastructure, and then we also fund the artisan and the skills development. As I'm talking to you right now, we do have a program with Southwest College. I think we are funding them for the 3rd time now. I think the first funding was about 35, and then another one about 50, then the current one is about 27 million. And in that funding, we are mainly focusing on artisan skills development, learnership, and work integrated learning. And then on community colleges, that's where you find that some people may not be going through the normal academic route, and that is why we have community colleges. And in that space, we normally fund an occupational program or skills bridging courses. And then, I don't know, can you see? Okay. Can you zoom? I don't know whether you're zooming in or out. And then we then do funding rounds or call for proposal. You see the last section there that says a solicited closed bid or unsolicited bid. That's where you will normally even probably see NSF either on the papers or on the our Department of Higher Education website. But that's where most or majority of our budget goes to. We fund the government entities, we fund state-owned enterprises, we fund the municipalities, district municipalities. It depends on the scarcity of skills in that entity or in that area. But in that way, the National Skills Fund funding is informed by the research. There is for close or call for proposal, and then close bid or call for proposal. And then when it comes to unsolicited, this is how unsolicited works. Basically, unsolicited, it means we don't really have rules as compared to solicited and closed bid. So if we are funding for artisan, we're looking for skills development providers who are accredited and can train artisans. When it comes to unsolicited, we are mainly looking for a developmental idea or a developmental initiative. We are looking for an innovative initiative in that area. And then in that specific instance, like unsolicited, it doesn't have an opening or closing. It's open like throughout the year, 24/7. So if you're gonna develop, I don't know, let's say bricklayers in Kano, and let's say you are traditional authorities, even traditional authorities are allowed, cooperatives are allowed, you write an application to us telling us exactly what you want to do, where, who you want to develop, and why, and how you're gonna do it. And then you know that there are institutions like QTCO and other quality assurers, and sometimes sitters that offer the accreditation. Let's say they are accrediting a traditional authority or a co-op or whoever. Once we have that engagement with you and the QTCO, that's when we engage with you, looking at the funding that you require, how you're gonna do it, where, and then in the end, I'll then outline to you how then the whole process of NSF functions. Okay, you can move on, my leader. Okay, so just to emphasize on that, on how the NSF can support the entrepreneurship and also the skills development. We obviously do it in 3 ways. It's the close call, request for proposal. Even now there's a request for proposal that is open. I'm gonna show you guys in a minute. And we also do it unsolicited proposal. An unsolicited proposal, guys, it can come from anyone, any direction. We're just looking at what is there, and is it meaningful? Is it serious? Can it have impact in that community? And if it does have impact, then it's gonna go through this process. Obviously, it's gonna be the admin compliance. In what form is your entity registered? Are you a traditional authority, a co-op, a company, or a TVET? And then it goes through the stages of technical evaluation. Technical evaluation, that's where I was saying, if you submitted through a request for proposal, there's obviously going to be requirements for that. But if you submitted an unsolicited bid, that is where we are looking at, if we are going to train farmers in Limpopo, is there a need for farmers in Limpopo? How many? You know, how many can you train? In what aspect? And how are you going to do it? That's why we do the technical evaluation. Do you have the technical ability to conduct that training that you are telling us that you are going to conduct? And then it goes, the next stage is due diligence. Due diligence, it's when the project managers, the project managers from NSF are now coming to visit you at your site. It's actually a whole day exercise, like a 9 to 4 kind of exercise, whereby we are showing us exactly how, where, who owns the site. Is there a lease? Is there a title deed, or is owned by the authority? Are the chiefs here? Let's do all the admin work. And then after that, and by the way, this evaluation process, guys, whether it's solicited or it's unsolicited, the application goes through the same. Remember, with the solicited one, there are closing dates, then the processes start, admin, technical evaluation. But unsolicited, anytime it can go through the same process. After due diligence, the team at initiation and evaluation, they then write. Now it's NSF people writing to 2 committees at NSF. Is the adjudication committee and the funding adjudication committee. Those are the 2 committees that will be recommending your funding. So after due diligence, and most people normally, that's where they struggle with the whole NSF funding or accessing NSF funding. Even if when you hear negative perception about NSF, it's because people failed to prove themselves in the due diligence. But after due diligence, there are 2 recommending structures. Then they recommend to our account executive. And then currently the NSF is obviously expanding its footprint in terms of the funding space. We are receiving applications from energy, and we're receiving applications from the hydrogen economy and the renewable energy, and we're also receiving an application from what is this thing from education? I think it's robotics and coding. Yeah, it's robotics and coding. So yeah, that's also where we are trying to be active as the NSF. Okay, you can move on to the next slide. Just to brief you on the previous funding that we've done. We've done funding for the work-based education, work integrated learning, artisans. You probably hear our boss, Mr. Nzimande, saying we're making this country a decade for artisans. We're trying to produce 30,000 artisans per year. That's the mission. That's in 10 years, this country should be able to produce from now. I mean, I know they started a while ago to produce 30,000 artisans per year. Last year we closed a request for proposal for people with disabilities. And then we are also funding skills program, teaching programs. And then we've also had a funding that was approved for CETA, whereby the NSF is sort of trusting or in collaboration with CETA to provide funding for the youth enterprises. So yeah, those are the things that we've done in the past or in previous funding rounds. And then currently, this is the funding round that is open. It's obviously available on our website. It was issued, I think, this past week or this past weekend. Whosoever got that newspaper can obviously see it. My leader, the next slide. Okay, this is the current funding round. So it's a rural development program. Okay, so in this funding round, we are looking at applications that aim at improving, impacting, upskilling, upgrading, training people in rural areas.
okay? Rural Development Program, and there are more details about it. I'm not gonna waste my energy about that, but even the, what do you call this? The link is here. It's also on our website. You can go onto it. And then I will then explain to you what happens when you submit your application. So this is the NSF funding process. So there's a division called Initiation and Evaluation. So they initiate the project and then they evaluate. But what they technically do is that they receive all applications. Like right now, this funding round is opened until 31 January 2024. So you have the time from now to write the application. I heard that, Aubrey, you have a farm this side. Your farm. College farm. Whose farm is this? I'm joking. No. It's a Southwest Gauteng farm. So we will expect an application from you guys on how you plan to develop the rural communities there in Randfontein. So basically, the initiation and evaluation team, they receive application, 300, 400, 1,000 of them. Then they go through the admin compliance that I showed you. After that, they do the technical evaluation. So only after technical evaluation do the NSF contacts the applicant. It's like being shortlisted. Then the due diligence team goes to do the site and the evaluation. And then after that is the contracting phase, whereby the legal guys do their legalities, I'll guess. And then after that, we sign the MOA with the applicant. And then after the contracting is done, the next phase is project implementation and evaluation. When you've been approved, you are allocated a project manager. A project manager will contact you, and then we'll start implementing the project. And then long after the project is finished, there is a phase called the program monitoring phase, whereby after you've submitted the closeout report, we check whatever you intended in the beginning, did you actually achieve it in the end? Yeah, I thank you. I thank everyone.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to everybody. I'd like to also thank our colleagues from the department for inviting us here this afternoon. I'd also like to thank the Southwest Gauteng campus for hosting this very important event. My name is Vuyo Tetyana. I am the manager for knowledge and evaluation at the Jobs Fund, which is a national treasury program. So I don't stand here representing National Treasury, but rather I am part of a component of the National Treasury. I think it's important to state that because, as has been the song today, we don't have money. So we're going to take a little bit of a change in tact this afternoon in terms of what my contribution to the conversation here this afternoon is going to be. We are going to be talking to our lessons that we've learned over the last while in supporting incubator programs from about 2012. So we want to say in doing that we come to you acknowledging that we do not have all the answers in respect of how incubators work and how you get them successful. We have not yet cracked that elusive nut in terms of getting incubators to be self-sustaining over the long term. So I come here before you humbly to present what are our learnings, but also to learn from everybody else as well. So as I've said, the Jobs Fund is, next slide please, the Jobs Fund is a national treasury program. We were allocated 9 billion rand it has now been fully allocated to projects. We work with intermediary organizations that help us to reach the beneficiaries and participants that we actually want to get to. So we play a complementary role within the development ecosystem, right? So the social protection and employment landscape, where you've got short-term programs like CWP, you've got other programs under the Presidential Youth and Employment Intervention, which are more short-term programs, but what we do is that we look to pilot innovative job creation models that lay the foundations for longer-term sustainability in terms of job creation in the country. And of course, part of what is key in our mandate is to ensure that we learn. The idea is that we learn from all of the models that we pilot so that we are able to have these kinds of conversations. I'm able to stand credibly in front of you and say, and give the lessons that I'm here to sort of like share with the confidence that they are backed by, rigorous monitoring and evaluation that we do on all of our programs, and therefore can contribute meaningfully to the conversation going forward. Next slide, please. The Jobs Fund has partnered with 163 partners so far. We have disbursed, of the 9 billion that is fully allocated, we have disbursed 6.7 billion of that money. We have leveraged from our partners, mainly private sector partners, NPOs as well, 13 billion, over 13 billion rand. That's with a B. So in total, we have mobilized about 20 billion rand towards job creation in the country over the last 10 years. Of the 163 projects that we've partnered with, about 67% are focusing mainly on small, medium, micro enterprises. Next slide, please. It will be difficult for you to see, but we have shared the presentation with the organizers, but that is just a map in terms of the spread of the jobs that we have created. On the top right, you will see the training number that we have there at over 300,000, and you will see at the bottom left a healthy conversion of that training to different types of jobs, be it permanent jobs, placement jobs, or internships at 310,000 plus. So our aim, of course, is to ensure that whatever program that we support, as it relates to training, that there is sight to job creation ultimately. All right. The Jobs Fund, next slide please. The Jobs Fund supports a number of different SMME models. These models range from on-lending models, franchising, agro-processing, outgrower models, etc. But of course, in today's short presentation, we will be focusing on incubators. And now to the lessons. So I'll be presenting over the next 3 slides essentially the key lessons that we would want to share with everybody here today. I'm pleased to see that Uput Obri pretty much has inculcated many of these lessons in terms of how the college has been doing its work regarding incubation. So the first lesson for us has been to say that it's important for us to establish an SME eligibility criteria and a recruitment strategy to ensure focused enterprises or entrepreneurs are selected. This is really important. You have to get the right people into your program if you want to succeed. So you have to develop recruitment tools that measure the entrepreneur's attitude towards running a business. I believe DDG Singh earlier on in the morning did allude to this, to say not everybody would succeed as an entrepreneur, so it's important for us to get it right the first time. We would also be measuring their eagerness to learn new things and to grow their business. As part of this lesson, we need to assess the business's potential to grow. given the economic and sector-specific landscape. So it's not all business ideas that can flourish in our current economic situation that we find ourselves in. So it's important for us to identify growth sectors that we can support incubatees in order for them and the incubator to succeed going forward. We also need to establish and baseline the entrepreneur's track record and previous management and entrepreneurial experience. Again, very important. And then lastly, under this particular lesson, you want to target entrepreneurs that have already spotted a gap in the market, right? And have some idea in terms of how they're going to take advantage of that gap. So you talk about entrepreneurs that are driven by an opportunity that they have seen already in the market and are not driven by the necessity of needing to find some kind of earning opportunity. The next lesson is around ensuring that the service offering of the incubator must be clearly communicated to potential candidates. So we need to ensure that candidates are aware that the incubator and support program are for individuals who want to pursue a career in entrepreneurship and not committed to growing, as well as committed to growing their businesses rather. Candidates who see the support as a stepping stone into employment should not, we humbly submit, should not be recruited, as the time, effort, and resources spent in capacitating each individual is significant and are better spent on those who are committed to long-term success and sustainability of their businesses. The next lesson that we want to convey is that business incubators need to be run as business enterprises. It's important to design the model and governance framework based on sound business and commercial principles. We need to recruit staff that have significant experience and expertise in SME incubation. We need to communicate to participants the performance expectations of their small businesses. The support provided should be informed by commercial and market-oriented approach so that SMEs are held accountable to commercial principles and financial performance targets. The next lesson is to say that a one-size-fits-all model in terms of how we want to support SMEs is not likely going to produce the kind of results that we are looking for. And I'm sure Aubrey can vouch for this as well. So it's important for us to support interventions that are able to tailor their support to participants in an effective and meaningful way. Incubation alone is not sufficient. It is important to ensure that access to appropriately structured SME finance, as well as access to markets, as has been said by several speakers already, for SMEs is fundamental. Incubators need to have established links with suitable financiers as well as market opportunities. Now, in today's conversation, I have heard the leaning with regards to market access as being one of saying, can somebody else help us to find the markets, right? I want to put a challenge out to the implementers of incubators to say, it is important for the incubator itself to know the local economy wherein they operate. It's important for them to go out, to reach out to businesses around and industries around their proximity to actually forge these relationships. It's not enough to ask, the department or the NYDA or CEDA or even the Jobs Fund to say, help us gain access. So there has to be a complementary way within which we do this around market access. Market access is not easy. It's not easy. And it's not also simply about finding the kind of opportunities that relate to supply and development alone, right? So I'm not saying that supply and development opportunities are not important. They are important, but they are a gateway or a segue into other opportunities that we do need to actively look for. Right, next slide, please. So we need to facilitate access to market through, yes, as I've said, enterprise and supply development linkages with industry, as well as facilitate access to markets beyond supplier development initiatives. We need to have appropriately structured finance for incubators, and that means we have to ensure that the incubator has sufficient budget available for the regular monitoring and evaluation of progress of the different incubatees in the programs. We need to have budget to measure the impact of to measure the impact of those businesses in their communities. We also need to keep some money aside for unforeseen circumstances. COVID-19 took a lot of businesses by surprise, and those businesses who were not sufficiently geared, and I know it's difficult to say that in the context of the extremity of the effects of COVID, but companies who had some level of resourcing that was set aside did survive longer than others, right? There were companies who were paying staff salaries while they were still at home, trying to weather the particular pandemic. The next lesson that we want to share is that support that results in sustainable impact takes significant time and resources. I'm not going to belabor this point. I think most people who are in this space understand that. But it's also important for the incubatees to also understand. It's not a quick fix. When you go into entrepreneurship, as has been said again today, it's important that you must understand that it's for the long haul. It's a career all on its own. Enterprise development interventions must have sector alignment. I've spoken to this. You must be aligned to those growth sectors or those growth areas within your local economic ecosystem, and that will allow your incubatees to tap into those opportunities and grow. So not all ideas are necessarily permissible or viable. Enterprise development interventions must also have the space to evolve. So we have to adjust the support model where required to improve outcomes. Program iteration should be accommodated and even encouraged during implementation to ensure overall SME support objectives are met. I'm still on that same slide. I'm seeing some movement. Yeah, okay. Government support for incubators that are linked to industrial parks are one example where we can actually move the dial in regard to sustainability of incubators. So the Jobs Fund has supported a big incubation hub in Riversands to the tune of upward of 200 million. This incubation hub has got a massive capacity for SMMEs within the Diepsloot and surrounding areas, and the idea there is that the incubation hub would sort of like enroll SMMEs that would support and supply to the industry in the Riversands Commercial Park. So there's a park there with different businesses, and the idea is that incubators would support supply development opportunities in that respect. We have seen some good results coming out of that. However, those results have been curtailed by the fact that the tributary road to the park has been delayed in terms of refurbishment for a number of years now, and as a result, big business has been reluctant to go into the park in the numbers that we had anticipated. But there's an opportunity there for planning, right? If we are planning, town planning, and local economic development planning, where we use the potential of industrial parks for the betterment of SMEs. Next slide, please. Drawing to a close, it's important to define clear outcomes for individual SMEs. Again, we've touched on this. It's important for incubatees to understand that they have a contract with the incubator to achieve certain milestones. So it's important for those milestones to be set out clearly in the beginning. Lady in red, I'm a bit parched. I wonder if you could, oh, she's on the phone. All right. All right, so the next lesson is that we need to prioritize monitoring and evaluation. Of course, in my line of work, I would say that, right? But it's important to establish milestones, outcomes, and impacts and sustainability indicators as part of the journey. I was hoping she wasn't going to do that with me, but I didn't compliment the dress. Job creation, we also need to understand, of course, establishing an incubator is in part to create jobs. Jobs, of course, are ancillary to addressing a gap that is in the market that needs to be filled, but we also need to understand that there's a lag between the disbursement of monies as well as the creation of those jobs ultimately. I'm not going to go through the last two. I'm just going to go to my closing, if that is okay. All right, and so in conclusion, this is what we want to say, that as it's been said here already today, SMMEs have tremendous potential to create significant and sustainable employment opportunity. But support provided needs to ensure that we select the right entrepreneur. We need to ensure that we tailor the support provided to entrepreneurs. We have to go the extra mile to link entrepreneurs to markets. We have to do that ourselves in part. We must baseline participants and thereafter monitor their progress against predetermined milestones. We must target growth sectors, and we must trace participants' progress beyond graduation of incubators. That's how we know that we are actually making an impact, is if we are measuring beyond graduation. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, thank you very much.
All right, good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, colleagues. I know we're all tired and we are conferenced out and meetinged out. We're ready to close for the year, but I hope this will be fruitful for all of us. My name is Linda Dladla and I represent the Allan Gray Makers from a program, that is our program, Allan Gray Makers. And the organization is Allan and Jill Gray Philanthropies. I'm wearing a jacket because Mr. Medira will come after me if I don't wear a jacket. So I'm just managing him for my piece after this. To the acting DDG, thank you for always taking on entrepreneurship and championing it. To all the principals and the management from TVET colleges, the Safaris, all protocol observed. So I will try by all means to stick to my time. This lovely picture was an executive leadership workshop that we had this year, where the principals came through and they helped to pave a way for entrepreneurship within the sector till 2030. So we're not here operating on our own mandate. We are operating as people who have been sent by the leaders of the TVET colleges. We can move to the next slide. And the reason why we exist, colleagues, is because of this great man called Dr. Allan Gray. He's now late. He had a vision to really make sure that development happens in our country, and he supports entrepreneurs in various forms, from primary school, high school, universities. And before his passing, I think 2 years before his passing, he asked the team then to establish a program that will support technical entrepreneurs, because the research that was done, it was seen that technical entrepreneurs are the ones to watch, the ones who will be able to provide the jobs that we need in our future. Next slide, please. So to those that don't know who we are and why we exist, we just had to simplify it this year, is that it's really to ignite dignity and meaning in life through accelerating artisanal entrepreneurship. So that is our focus. All the work that we're doing is really focused on artisanal entrepreneurship and to ignite that dignity and meaning in life. So all the entrepreneurs that we work with, we ensure that by the time they leave or exit our programs, they no longer see themselves the same way that they walked in, because entrepreneurship is a hard thing before it's the actual work that you do. If you don't see yourself as an entrepreneur, you won't be able to achieve that which you need to do. Next slide. These are some of my favorite people. So if you don't see your face there, please don't take it personal. There's so many pictures that I can put on a slide. I can see fingers being pointed already. So our focus this year when we started was that we need to start a program where we support the development of lecturers who are in entrepreneurship. Not only lecturers, but practitioners of entrepreneurship. And I know there's so many training courses out there, there's so many different stakeholders doing things, but we are focused at really the mindset. So where the space that we have chosen is to equip every lecturer within the TVET colleges. We are focused at supporting the Safaris entrepreneurship hubs to be able to deliver entrepreneurial mindset training to the TVET colleges. So it's not entrepreneurship, how do you start a business, where do you go, and all that stuff. No, we are focusing on the mindset because research has shown that if we don't fix this first, we will continue to register businesses that will fail. The colleague from NYDA, that's what we have seen. It's all in the mind. We are not fixing the mindset. You're right in saying a lot of people are starting businesses to survive, but they're unable to sustain those businesses because we have not taught them various ways on how to deal with some of the traumas that they faced in life. So this year we've trained 150 lecturers on entrepreneurial mindset. Next year we will be training 250 lecturers, so please be on the lookout on that email that will be coming through. And here we really ask for the support of the deputy principals, academics, and the deputy directors, academic, to please support us. This is not linked to only lecturers that are teaching entrepreneurship. We've submitted an MOU to the department, and the request is for 11,000 lecturers to be trained by 2030. And I'm glad that we are clapping, because if you clap, it means we are working together. You are endorsing. So when you say no, I will come back to you and say, no, I remember your hands came together. So it's not for any, we're trying to make sure that not a single lecturer is left behind. Because if a lecturer retires, if a lecturer leaves the college, that skill leaves the college. But how do we ensure that this work is not for one person and the responsibility of one person, an EBM lecturer? Let's see how do we ensure that entrepreneurship gets into the engineering classroom as well. Because currently it's only limited to a certain number of students, but not all students are able to be reached as well. So lecturers, we will be reaching out next year. There are lecturers that we will be identifying, still negotiating with the team that we will allow to have a master facilitator training so that they are accredited as master facilitators in the country, so that we don't have to go to the States again to call those facilitators to come back into the training. So we're now trying to make sure that we equip our own to be the ones who will continue, so that even post Allan Gray being there, this can continue and access to the content is available for a lifetime. So that is the plan that we are working on. And just to also mention that we will be having an executive leadership workshop next year for the DP academics. So those that are here, I can see a couple of faces. Please diarize that it will be. I'll just confirm with Mr. Mediro as well and Mam Dora when we should make that workshop happen, so that we look at how do we incorporate entrepreneurial mindsets into the curriculum, so that it's not a by the way thing that we have to do on the side. But how do we ensure that whether it's every quarter, we are able to ensure that a number of students are trained with an entrepreneurial mindset, and every student that leaves our TVET colleges leaves with an entrepreneurial mindset. Yes, not all students will be entrepreneurs, but all students can have an entrepreneurial mindset so that when they even go into the workplace, they are able to practice those principles and apply them so that they don't mess up in the job and they can continue to be successful. Next slide, please. What we've seen, and SWG has been saying this the whole day, is when we started in 2021 in the Eastern Cape, we introduced the Entrepreneurship Inter-College, and we saw just over close to about 1,000 applications that were submitted just from one province. And in 2022, we went on to the entire country and we saw 2,667 applications. 2023, I can safely say that we received 4,836 applications from all 50 TVET colleges in the country. So what that means is that there are 4,836 learners who are interested in entrepreneurship. So that says, colleagues, that we have work to do. We can't put our hands together, fold them, and leave, and not support these young entrepreneurs that are there. So next year, we are continuing with the Inter-College. There are partners that have called us to be on board. There's even a province that has called to ask to host the national finals as well as the Allan Gray Makers Fest next year. So we are in those talks because they've seen the impact of this competition. Just to also share that this competition, some of the entrepreneurs that you are seeing there, we've seen provincial officers come on board. The Free State has given, through the colleagues in the Free State, they've been able to give winners 50,000 rands as well as runner-ups 30,000 rands towards their businesses. That's a lot of money for a student, and I can safely say none have bought a polo. Okay, no. So we're safe. And where the Siferis are also supporting those students through that process to make sure that they don't mismanage that money. They are able to continue to run their businesses successfully. We've also seen this in Mpumalanga as well. The provincial office, economic development, has come on board to say they will fund the regional rounds of the competition as well. So we're trying to work with the colleges to reach the regional offices to make sure that the competition is supported so that when we are done with our part, the province can be able to continue to support those students. In the Free State, I remember the head of economic development even committed space for the learners to say that there's space available for them to be able to use when they need to run their businesses. So I'm here to ask you, colleagues, any relationships that you have in your provincial offices, please assist us to get to speak to the right people. Western Cape, we are in conversations with the Western Cape government to be able to ensure that they support the regional rounds of the Inter-College. We also introduced the Allan Gray Entrepreneurship Challenge. It was a bit of it had technical challenges because of access to data, internet, and all those things. So we're trying to see if we can make it a free platform, a non-paying platform, so that all students can be able to play that game. We had 4 winners, and Dylan is one of them who's sitting at the back, who played that game and worked. How much did you get, Dylan? 5,000. You see, so in total you've walked away with 40,000 this year. Ne? So right, December right. Ne? So that's money towards his business. It's not for us to shine, it's for them to be able to graduate knowing that there's hope. Because at the end of the day, we can't drive by robots and seeing our students on the side of the road begging for money. Next slide, please. One of the things that we're also looking at doing is to support TVET colleges to be entrepreneurial. There is research that we will be doing, so there is a survey that we'll be sending. So this is a UNESCO model that we have been allowed to use, and we will be bringing the UNESCO people to be able to assist us to roll this out within the TVET colleges, so that by the end of each year we can be able to say how far off are we in the TVET colleges for them to be able to be seen as entrepreneurial. There is a baseline study that has also been done to say what does the ecosystem within the TVET college look like. I was hoping to do a webinar last week, but because of time, we'll do it early next year so that the research team can be able to unpack what does the ecosystem of TVET entrepreneurship look like at the present moment, and then we'll share more research in the years to come as well. Next slide. So what we're also doing, colleagues, is around the Startup Academy. Next year, we've piloted this, and it's safe to say next year we're having 4 hubs. We have a hub in Gauteng, we will have a hub in KZN, we'll have a hub in Gqeberha, we'll also have a hub in Mpumalanga, Emelo, and Gersibande is on board for that. So I will be reaching out to the other colleges to assist in reaching out to those graduates that that can be eligible to be part of this hub. So these hubs are focused at graduates, artist students who have graduated and would like to use their skills to start a business. Next slide. Your dress is beautiful, Mama, and your shoes are lovely. I should have started there. So the focus area for these hubs, it's an 18-month program, and it's focused on entrepreneurial readiness, business readiness, technical readiness. We also have industry readiness, where we have your IOPSAs, we have your, all the industry bodies are on board supporting this. We are actually in the process of starting an auto hub. It will be starting very soon. We're just finalizing the details, so please be on the lookout. We'll also do market readiness and graduation as well. So I think it is important for us to continue to collaborate so that we can be able to reach more young people and more graduates within our TVET sector. Last slide, and then I will sit down. Artisans of Mzansi, I have asked the team for us to see how do we bring this competition into the TVET colleges, so that TVET students who are still studying can be able to see themselves as potential artisans, and that there is hope and a future for them as artisans. So this is a competition that has reached over 11 million South Africans, and we will be continuing. So if you have artisans in your program, please ask them to apply when we open for entries next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our presenters. And because of time, I'm also going to request that we note any comments or questions that we might have. Obviously, you'll know who it is directed to. I'm prioritizing lunch. And the reason I'm doing that is because when you are the program director, you get to be the first one to dish so that the program can continue. So I'm prioritizing lunch. But with that said, you can be released, gentlemen. I want to call the last 3 just before we break for lunch. I would like to call Mr. Steve Reid, the Technical Advisor, Entrepreneurship and Incubation, National Business Initiative. Please make sure that you see the technical team at the back, should you want to project. And I want also to be joined on stage by Mr. Given Madlope, Support Programs for Youth-Owned Enterprises. And I also want to be joined by Mr. Mlato Mkoni, who will be speaking on behalf of Mr. Roy Maponya, that is from the Dr. Maponya Institute of Entrepreneurship. So if I can have those 3 speakers, and thereafter I will come with the announcements with regards to lunch. So any of the colleagues that are presenting, Mr. Reid, I think you're the first one. If you can project Mr. Reid. You know, I made a mistake initially. When I said Mr. Dladla, I saw Mr. Reid standing up, and I said, sorry, are you Mr. Dladla? I had made a mistake, but he's actually Mr. Reid. You can so long come.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. My goodness, lunch is beckoning, so I am going to speak fast, and I ask you to listen fast as well. Let me just open up the same thing here. Just so that. I'm just opening up the same program so that I don't talk past this. So, thank you, Program Director. I'm not sure whether we should sing Lady in Red, but thank you so much. My name is Steve Reed. I'm contracted to the NBI. I have my colleague Notando Mate, who is the project manager as well for the SMME Township Economy. So, without any further ado, let me jump right in. A little bit about who we are. NBI focuses on 4 areas: environment, economic inclusion, social cohesion, and inequality, and institutional and government capacity. But it is the second one, the economic inclusion, that this is all about. And it's really lovely to see so many friends and colleagues from the past 8 years when I was at False Bay College's Center for Entrepreneurship. Next slide, please. So, a rather complicated slide, but what NBI is doing with 7 colleges at the moment, but that's going to increase down the line. But we enter into an agreement with those colleges, and some of them are here today. Thank you for being here. And a hub, an IRM hub. Someone spoke about acronyms. An IRM stands for installation, repairs, and maintenance. So like Linda referred to the value of artisans, we want to unlock that. So at the hub, next slide please, we will focus on areas like general property maintenance, plumbing, construction, electronics, electrical appliances, manufacturing, automotive. The point is, it's not only to train up artisans, but to unlock artisanal skills. So it's possible, for example, for someone to be trained up in plumbing in 3 months and then to be placed at a plumbing business as well. Next slide. So the 4 ways in which we support colleges. The first one is ecosystem development and ecosystem mapping. So as a few speakers have alluded to, it's very important to know what's in the market, what the demand is. We don't want to train up in skills where there's no match. So the first one is an ecosystem mapping. The second one is entrepreneurial learning in TVET colleges. One of the things that Linda referred to was that UNESCO document, and we're using the same material. Isn't it great when you have organizations working together? A third way is SMME support. So, actually I'm going to jump to the bottom. The skills, a demand-led skilling through TVET colleges. So we work through those colleges to understand the demand and train up skills that are relevant for that area. So for example, it might be, as in False Bay, it might be in automotive and in welding, right? So 20 young people have currently started a 3-month course. They will be placed in SMMEs and corporates that do, that's their focus. Of those 20, we're looking and we're saying, okay, are there possibly those that have shown an appetite, a hunger, a desire for entrepreneurship? And then we will take them after a year into incubation. For that reason, we've already started incubation at False Bay, at West Coast. I'm just trying to think if we've started somewhere else as yet. But the SMME support is to create a really great environment for people to start up artisanal businesses. At the same time, at those hubs, it'll have access to businesses in the community. And so we say to them, you can come in, you can get support, you can get access to certain equipment, you can get access to master classes, etc. But there is a trade-off. If you come here, then we want some of the students that we are placing to be placed with you. So you take on a student. And by the way, NBI manages that process so that NBI becomes the lead employer. It's quite an efficient way of doing things. Next slide, please. So, just a little bit about the incubation model. So we are creating a practical incubation model, which we want to use eventually at 16 hubs with a focus on graduates and youth in the footprint of the partnering TVET colleges. Next slide. So this is a little bit about the previous speaker said how important selection is, and we drill down. So there are 6 steps to that as well. Next slide. There's 5 in our recipe, in our secret sauce. We say there are 5 things that every incubation should have. Mr. P, they are learning, personal development, coaching, market and financial linkages. And so we're serious about that. We're not just saying that, we're saying this needs to be an outcome for these young people and those that we're accelerating. And finally, technical support. So those resources will be part of the offering that we give. Next slide. Our time frame, just a little bit there, you can see it runs over similar to the Safari model. A little bit of recruitment and selection, 2 months, and then 6 months of ideation. Remember, they've got ideas, they need to be refined, and another 6 months of incubation, and then followed by another 12 months. Next slide, please. And there it goes a little bit deeper into that. For example, the learning is action-oriented, and we want to see it being applied. Structured business advising, personal development workshops, and you can go to the next slide. And there's an example of 12 modules on the personal development. 70% of the reason that businesses close in South Africa has got to do with the jockey, the person, and only 30% with the model. So it's important to focus on the personal development. So things like the entrepreneurial mindset, again, working with Allan Gray, finding your why, the growth mindset, etc. Whoops, I don't know that we went quite that quickly. Righty. We're coming to a landing. Next one, please. Thank you. Part of what we want to do is we want to build, seriously want to build the capacity of the hubs. And that means the center managers, the hub managers, the business advisors, because they will be at different places. And over time, we want them to knock the ball out of the park, because that will mean that they offer great value to the entrepreneurs. Carry on. Partners are so important. I see it's a blank canvas. On my one, there's actually something there. But all sorts of partners are so important. You know, there's a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I want to say to you, it takes a village to raise an entrepreneur. It really does. And so we can't... Thank you for that. We do need to play together and be good. Thank you. Next slide. I don't know why it's not showing there, but very important, of course, to show to funders, to show to those that are participating, etc., that there's impact. And so much like the Safari model, we make use of and will make use of Growth Wheel, and hopefully that will be a key to unlock further funding. And I think that is it. I have one question to you. What would you say are the similarities? What's the link between a Ferrari and a children's hospital? Let me say to you that in most cases, you'd think there's no link. Well, the Gosh Hospital, Greater Ormond something district hospital, is a hospital for children that have got very serious diseases. That's in England. And of course, we know the Ferrari is one of the F1 teams. Well, they had, at that hospital, they had a tremendously high fatality rate. When the young children were moved from the ER or from the operating theatre, it took too long to get them into the high care. And they were wondering what to do about that. And so 2 doctors were watching the TV, and there was this F1, and there comes Ferrari, and in how many seconds? Is it 3 seconds? They change the tires, fill it up, etc., and it's gone. And they looked at that and they said, I wonder if Ferrari would talk to us, and they did. And Ferrari, working with doctors, 2 different concepts, were managed to drop the fatality rate by 70%. Simply because they implemented something that worked in one area and could be placed into another. Ladies and gentlemen, there are great ideas and organizations in this room, and it simply means connecting it together for something magical to happen. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Given Madlope, and I'm from Technology Innovation Agency. Thank you, Program Director, and thanks to the department for inviting us to this event to come and share and talk to you about the Technology Innovation Agency and the services and the offerings that we provide to innovators. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So I'll just briefly talk about who we are and what our services and the support that we provide to our innovators. My second presentation will focus on a program that we support innovators from communities. It could be from location, it could be students, it could be anyone from rural areas. So I want to give more information about that. And lastly, it will be a program that we are establishing. We want to focus on students, supporting student innovators. All right, so TIA is an entity of the Department of Science and Innovation, and we were established with a core responsibility to support and to fund the development of technology and innovation in South Africa, for the benefits of the economy of this country and the benefit of the citizens of this country. We had a mandate to ensure that we lead in the innovation space. So TIA is one of the responsibility is that we create an ecosystem that will work for the innovators, that will work for the companies of South Africa to create innovation and commercialize that innovation. So we do this by providing financially and non-financial support to our innovators. So when you think of TIA, think of one thing: innovation, supporting innovation, and taking that innovation into the market so that we can create businesses, we can create income, we can create impact that we are looking for in South Africa. Next slide, please. Just in high level, this is the funding instruments that we have. So this is our financial support. I will encourage everyone, to go to our website just to learn about our funding instruments and how do they work and how innovators can apply. But just in high level, we have a seed fund so that we work with our partners. It could be universities, incubators, for providing funding and support to innovators. We also have a technology development fund. It's mostly focusing on supporting high tech that have a strong intellectual property. We do work with venture capitalists and other funders to provide funding for commercialization and also to prepare the innovations and the also technologies and innovators that they want to commercialize. So we support them in terms of how could they now get a follow-on funding to commercialize. Next slide, please. We also have a range of non-financial support, but however, there is some funding that is provided through some of this program. So the intention of this program is to ensure that we enable the support, we enable the development of the innovation and the technology, and we also inculcate the culture of innovation in South Africa. We talked about the lack of awareness and the lack of entrepreneurship, and the culture of innovation is so weak in South Africa. Some of the programs that we have are focusing on ensuring that we have our young people or with women, to come up with ideas and develop those ideas and take it to the market. We also have programs that are focusing on providing infrastructure and expertise for developing technology and innovations. So we have technology stations and we also have technology platforms. So these could be accessed by each and every innovator. We have some of these infrastructure in universities. Some of them are in like outside universities. We also have programs that are focusing on skills development and also in entrepreneurship development. So you could see one of it is a Global Clean Tech Innovation Program, and we are focusing on supporting innovators that are coming up with innovations that are addressing our globally, the global challenge of pollution and all the other issues that are related to the global environment. We are working with international partners, like UNIDO is one of the organizations that we work with, to deliver some of this program. You can go to the next slide, please. So these are some of the technical stations, and they are different provinces. You could remember maybe during the COVID, we had one technology platform which it was supporting the country in terms of diagnosing the COVID virus, and it was really playing a prominent role in assisting the country in addressing the issue of COVID. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so these are some of the technology stations that we have. They are in different engineering sectors. They are at different universities. The sectors ranges from agriculture, chemicals, ICT, mechanical, and so forth. So you can go to our website and you can find information. The beauty is that anyone can access these services and infrastructure. They also provide some form of subsidy. So if a business does not have all the funding to cover the cost, they can subsidize that cost. Next slide, please. You can go to the next slide. Okay, let me talk about the grassroots innovation program. So this is a program that is initiated by the Department of Science and Innovation. You can go to the next slide. So the main focus of this program is that we realize that there are innovators who are at the communities. However, those innovators, they don't know where to go in terms of getting a support for developing their innovation. Where they are not currently supported, and the intention is how do we reach to these innovators and